word, bird.
I did already do it. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Chilluminati podcast, episode 280. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Mike Martin. Today, joined by the naked magicians of LA, Mike Tyler, Christopher Wayne, Jesse, and Alex.
The naked magicians? I don't know.
What's naked magic?
I don't know who those guys are, but I would trust their card magic better than most magicians, just based on the fact they're naked.
And the accent you chose prior to us recording is interesting because they started in Australia.
They're Australians.
And then they made their way over to where else? Nevada.
Las Vegas,
baby.
Right, the Australia of America.
The Australia of America. Is that what Las Vegas likes? I've never been there. Is it
the Australia of America is absolutely San Diego, and fuck off if you don't agree with me because it's fucking true.
I wouldn't know.
It's Nevada.
That's very funny.
It's Nevada. The whole state is Australia.
Anyway, where are you going to put your cards on your body besides in your crotch hole and your armpits? Butthole?
Yeah,
butthole?
Ear. Behind the ear, like all coins are.
Ear. All right.
The magic ear trick.
I'm Mike then. Is that
yeah, sure.
Mike Tyler?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah, Mike Tyler and the other guy's
I'm Mike Tyler, mate. Mike Tyler.
Mike Tyler and Christopher Wayne. Here, I'll give you.
Rocky, I am Christopher Wayne.
Chris Wayne,
I'm just gonna
mate.
give you. You could take a look at the two naked magicians.
It's only Chris and Mike, mate.
Nationality, Australian. Occupation.
Yeah, no, they're buff, naked men. Okay, that's interesting.
Oddly, second picture of them, not naked. Don't know.
No, yeah. Frauds, perhaps.
Let's get him on the show. What have you seen? What have you guys seen in the
crossover.
Australian desert?
I was on Big Brother Australia season 13 where I placed 22nd.
Congratulations.
Good job, man.
I got evicted day 12.
One day I'm going to convince my buddy.
9 days in the house.
I'm going to convince my friend Dan, who won Big Brother America 10 and second place in Big Brother America 14, to come on the show.
Dude, you got a Big Brother bud? A Big Brother buddy?
I do got a Big Brother bud. He's a Twitch streamer now.
How do you have random Big Brother buds?
Because he's a Twitch streamer, and he reached out like a decade ago because he was watching Twitch streams.
Oh, so not buds. A decade ago, you knew him.
No, we're still friends. He has we have each other's phone number. We're in we chat every day.
When's the last time we talked?
He's like
yesterday.
He's like his real Big Brother.
Room.
Yeah, they're big brother.
Really?
He's his real big brother.
He's part of basically the Northern Lion circle. Like I introduced him to Northern Lion, and then.
All right. Well, then he can't be that good.
No, he's he's
Northern Lion.
I know.
Ryan, that's
that bald asshole.
I'm more of a Western Lion.
yeah, nice.
Boo.
I guess that makes me an Eastern one.
Ooh, can I be Southern? I'm a Southern Lion.
I'm a Southern Lion, y'all.
Ryan, unfortunately, you're like
down in the bayou. Rawr.
You're a Midwestern Lion, unfortunately, Jesse.
No, I'm a Southern Lion.
He's like, da Serengeti.
The lines.
It's also Happy New Year's, everybody. We're recording this on January 1st, but you're going to get it in a couple days anyway. But yeah, it's the first episode. 2025 is here.
New era.
A new era. What is it going to? Yeah. What are you going to do to us this year?
The age of H8 has waned away.
Have you
gracefully, beautifully?
Thank God.
The reception of the reveal of AH was great. One person
Everybody's
genuinely
like, my
thought
God.
we were all mad at each other, which I thought was hilarious.
Everybody's like, my God, he's a genius. I've got no bad will at all.
Person, you're right.
Yeah. Is that what you saw?
Yeah.
Is that how you interpreted
it? Do you know why I think they probably...
Because you only selectively looked at certain responses?
Do you know why I think probably people aren't mad?
Because they view the three of us as pure goofballs. With not an ounce of credibility amongst us.
Case in point, Davis had the most heinous microphone last week. We are not professionals in any way.
Well, that's Davis. I can't speak for Davis. He was merely a guest on the show, and he recorded that on Christmas Eve.
But that's what I'm saying. We said he was good enough to be a guest on the show, which speaks to our level of acceptability.
Fair enough. But I will just remind everyone that 8 months ago when I was doing Zodiac, the last big thing that I did before I, took a break from making episodes for a while to marry my wife, I did give you a cogent sensible mystery with lots of code breaking, 0 dead ends, real world adventure,
everything you
hired
just said,
actors.
I do not believe.
I really planned it out, did it, executed it. I put it in the show. It used the H8 sequence at every step. Would have carried us to the end of the year with reveals, but only like 4 or 5 people cared. One of them was my wife. And when nobody could solve it, I figured you guys didn't want a complex, satisfying solution. After all,
is that right? You did it for them.
I gave plenty of clues. So you know what I did instead? I decided to focus myself on writing as many AAA status Chilluminati episodes as I possibly could.
Right. Because you had to readjust because you were so good at crafting a mystery, no one could solve it.
If you don't believe me, I literally laid it out in an entire minisode. This is not a made up thing. You can go.
Who is this justification for? You or them?
I just wanted to say, I was joking that I ran out of ideas last time. I just want you to know I didn't run out of ideas.
You know who would have really appreciated it?
Huh?
Blackagar Boltigan.
Oh yeah, Blackagar Boltigan. You know what he would have said?
Appreciated all.
You know what he would have said?
Nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Word. Because he has my back. That's why.
He would not have recognized that existing at all. He's got bigger problems.
No, he's got my back.
The man's got a tuning fork for a hat. He's got bigger problems.
It's not his hat. It's on in the front of his cowl, and he needs it. Okay? He needs it to focus his powers. Anyway, hello, everyone. Hey, welcome to the show. Another year, another flavor.
I would just fucking hang myself if that was I needed that for my power.
Another year, another flavor of Alex episode. Like I said last week, first off, I want to say this year is all about mask off good vibes in accordance with our life path number, which is 3 now, by the way, which means get ready for a bunch of unbridled fun and creativity.
What do you mean life path number? Hold on. I don't know what this is.
Last time I told you, after I ran out of ideas, I turned to numerology. And when I added up all the letters in
I forgot about that you a bunch of gibberish.
Yeah.
Right, sure.
But 3,
what does that have to do with 3 now? What is
our
3?
life path of 3 means it's time for it's time for leadership.
Why is it a life path of 3?
Because of the numerology of it all. If you
of what? Numerology of what?
H8. That was the secret of it all. Okay, so it wasn't a secret. I made it up. But here's what's up. Fun, creativity, wisdom. Numerology is bullshit. Fun, mystery, wisdom, charisma. That's what 2025 is all about. And as I mentioned last time, today we are here to launch a new annual tradition that we're officially calling Cornerfest, which happens every January, where I go over all the little mini mysteries that I happened across this year that weren't long enough or deep enough for the whole episode treatment, right? I've done things like this before, but I wanted to cement it as a thing that happens to like clear out my notes at the end of a year. And I thought this was a fun way to do it. Last time, it was 2022. So I did 22 mysteries when I did this. So this year, since it's Cornerfest 25, we'll have 25 mysteries to cover.
20? This would be an 8-hour episode.
No, it's just going to be 4 episodes. 4 nice
episodes?
4 nice mini episodes.
You literally just, what are you talking about?
You're going to get 6 stories per episode. And if you're a computer brain listener and you're doing your math right now, I'll also reveal that the odd man out, big mystery number 25, is going to be at the very end of episode 4. And it's going to fully answer the question of like, what's the next big piece of nonsense going on in the background of the show this year? And let me tell you, right now,
I think he's going to be like, do you remember the green stuff?
No.
This be something stupid?
No.
That would be so upset about.
I'm just going to tell you right now, you're actually going to, without any mystery, simply enjoy the very straightforward prospect of what I, as well as my good pals Mathis and Jesse, have in store for you all this year. It's going to be a very good time. We're all together on this. We all write this together behind the scenes. This is a completely scripted show.
Don't put this shit on me and
Jesse.
Jesse.
This is a completely scripted show. Even this
shit.
joke right now that we're saying is a written bit that we did a writer's room about.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think that's
this
true.
to the people,
That's
dude.
not true. That's not true. That's not true.
Why are you?
That's not
why,
true. That
what
would be
you say?
insane.
Actually,
that would be insane. Nobody would.
Hold on. Based on this episode's quality, it may or may not be true.
Yeah, but look, I don't have any secrets or weird things for you this time. I don't have anything like that. All I did, I took a completely different approach. All I've got for you this time is a free, high-res Cornerfest 25 concert lineup poster, like a almost like a Coachella poster for Cornerfest 25. You can get it completely for free at patreon.com/ChilluminatiPod, where not only can you better receive this special intimate message from me to you, but also all the other great stuff we have on there is there to see, including bespoke monthly art from Studio Melectro, who does all the dope show art you guys have been seeing lately. It's another year. This is the first episode that has the new Jackalope art on it. It looks sick as hell.
Looks great.
Yeah. Stand by for a shirt or something to that effect soon with some of this art on it, as well as access to our insane library of minisodes that's on there. We have so many that we're just giving them away for free, and there's still 100 million bajillion left to listen to. Rotten Popcorns are on there also, which will resume very shortly with another one. I'm still going to try and seduce Mathis into the world of watching X-Files all the time. It will literally occupy you for hours, the stuff that's on our Patreon. And while, if you're like me, you spend hours and hours playing through the Order 1886 for your PS4, just to balance out all the unfair hate it got because you watched Nosferatu and you got on like a vibe of like 1800s vampire.
Just
and then you were
a
like
snack-sized video game.
And do you realize after all this, outside of the context of whether or not I have to spend any money on it, the Order 1886 is fucking tight as hell. It's fucking tight as hell. Anyway, I don't know where that came from. Anyway, you know me. I love a secret society. I love a video game. I love paranormal creatures. Speaking of which, let's set episode. Get ready for this. This is going to be the biggest thing that anybody talks about on Reddit about this. Let's set episode A of Cornerfest 25 off on the right foot with Jesse reading an ancient Chilluminati rite. I just want you to say I elegantly solved our numbering problem. Do you get it? You see how I've done this?
By saying A, by making it letters?
Yes, because
so episode 280, episode A.
Is Cornerfest episode A. Yeah. So now you know it's episode 280 in the order.
280, Cornerfest episode A.
Perfect.
I genuinely think at this point you're messing with us on purpose.
I'm not.
Like, there's no way that you aren't actively trying to make us lose our minds.
No, I'm trying to make the show easier to understand for all the people who complain.
That was your solution?
Yeah, it's perfect. We're not using numbers and numbers anymore. Now we're using numbers and letters.
Right. We're in algebra.
Yeah. So let's set off episode A.
We're in 8th grade now.
Yeah. A also, it's a pyramid. If you look at it, an A almost looks like the Eye of Providence from Chilluminati. Doesn't matter. Episode A of Cornerfest 25 starts on the right foot by having Jesse read an ancient Chilluminati rite that was just uncovered at a brand new dig site over Christmas break. It's really amazing.
Over Christmas break, we had people working on Christmas break.
Yeah, we had people working, but it's just they were just archaeologists. They're very passionate. They found it. They were not thinking about it like Bob Cratchit
They're
vibes.
playing Indiana Jones, and they found it in one of the jungles of Sukhothai.
Yes. So here you go.
Here
you go. This is for Jesse to read.
Interesting stuff is interesting because it is interesting. This is a truth worth sitting quietly and meditating on for many lifetimes. Bask in the red light of novelty with us at patreon.com/ChilluminatiPod.
Okay, so the last part of the actual inscription was illegible in the original script, so I hope you don't mind. I know that was not very chill of me, but I took the liberty of amending it with a little modernized improv of my own through our Patreon URL in there, because I thought that was like a nice... similar to what the old Chilluminati probably was talking about at that time. You know what I mean? And the poem's old.
Sure.
It's crazy that we're just now finding it. Probably nobody's heard it with or without an added brand deal on it in maybe 1,000 years or more, according to some sources, but that's really interesting. But forget about that. Right now, here we go. Cornerfest 25, episode A, part 1, first one of 6, is called So Joanna. Okay? It's called So Joanna.
Don't you cry for me?
Yeah. So first things first comes a post on r/RBI, aka the amateur sleuthing Reddit, with like the Reddit Bureau of Investigation, from the user Sen, like Senator Junkie Einstein. Sen Junkie Einstein. And we're going to have Mathis read this post for us right now. Here it goes.
Okay. I'm not sure what the best group is best for this, but it for sure seems like a puzzle of sorts. If you can suggest a good group to post it in, please. I bought this old book at Art Funk and Junk in Fort Mill, South Carolina earlier this week. That's a phenomenal fucking name for a
That's a great name, yeah.
I'm mostly looking into some insight into the nature of the symbols, what the locations of the coordinates might mean. Heck, if you can figure out what the solution is, that's even better. The more I look at it, the less I understand. I've gone through the whole book page by page, and I think I've found every page that has been marked up. If there's someone out there that is really into this kind of stuff, I would be more than willing to even mail you the book and let you handle this since this is really outside of my wheelhouse. The book is old and dusty anyway, and it's aggravating my allergies. The whole thing is a little unsettling anyway.
Yeah. So pretty intriguing post. And along with that, there's an Imgur link of an entire book scanned, basically. Happens to be a heavily notated version of a 1959 revised edition of a book called Around the World in 2000 Pictures. And if you open it up to its very first page, immediately written in pencil, there's a signature written inside for someone. It's a signature, so it's hard to make out. It looks like S.B. Vonderbonman. Vonderbonman.
I love that.
S.B. Vonderbonman. And even though, like I said, the book is an edition from 1959, the signature is dated 1838, which incidentally, history teachers may remind you, is the same year that the Trail of Tears started. Interesting detail to remember. There's also some lines and symbols drawn below that with a ruler and a pen. It looks like if you laid that drawing over a map, you'd maybe be showing two intersecting roads and maybe a few things along the side of the road. And it feels like maybe if you put it over the right map, it would highlight some things on that map, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And then opposite that, yeah, exactly. And then opposite that, on the right side near the top of the page, there's some arrows pointing to the top of the paper, and then you got 5 sets of coordinates in a row. Bing, 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 bing. One of the sets of coordinates, the second one in the list, has an Ankh-like symbol next to it, like a Egyptian Ankh, like a cross with a circle at the top kind of thing. And just below that is a diagram that gives the book its name, which looks like a pyramid drawn from above, which is basically like a box with an X in it, if you want to think about it that way.
Yeah.
A pyramid drawn from above, simply, So Joanna, written on a line radiating off of it, and then a couple pencil lines also radiating off in a couple different directions from that. The pyramid icon was actually, and I'll show you this in a minute, the pyramid icon was actually determined to be referencing the 5th location on that list of coordinates on the same page, which is a place called Murphy's Pyramid, which sits overlooking the Hiwassee River on 5th Street in Murphy, North Carolina. And here's an image of that pyramid for the Wiki for So Joanna. So you can look at that right there.
I mean, it is a pyramid. It looks kind of like Nick Cage's tomb that he built for himself.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, exactly. This one, however, was not built for Nicolas Cage. It was built for A.R.S. Hunter, who was the first white settler in the area and the first postmaster of the newly settled town of Murphy. And incidentally, it's built on the site of the old Fort Butler, which is commonly considered to be one of the starting points, probably, if not the starting point of the Trail of Tears. And is basically like the shitty white people HQ for the entire process of us forcing the Cherokee Nation out of their homeland, basically. Strangely, even though the mystery has caught on with the name So Joanna, it was eventually discovered that what everybody thought was the word so was actually the number 50. Because if you hit 50 degrees clockwise, if you see it, it's like a pyramid and there's a line coming off and it's 50 next to it. And if you think of it as clockwise off true north, 50 degrees from the pyramid, if you just draw a line on a map, 50 degrees off true north, clockwise from the pyramid, you will hit directly onto the Joanna Bald Fire Lookout Tower. And it's on the way to the sites of the old Cherokee Nation capital sites of Chota and Tanasi. And it's probably actually 50 Joanna, which is what the thing should be called. But let's keep that specific detail in mind for later. Also on this page is 2 lines of fully encrypted text, as well as a drawing of a compass rose and a hand reaching for an eye, which all also link to other locations that are referenced in the book. But I think at this point, just to show you how crazy and complex all this is, I'm going to give you guys an Imgur link for all the book pages, so you can look at it and kind of describe it for people and follow along with it a little bit better as we go, right? So you can kind of see, if you look at this, it's a real old book called Around the World in 2000 Pictures, and then somebody has gone in and just absolutely defaced it on 50
so again,
pages.
it's a normal kind of travel book. It looks old. It has the vibe of something from a while ago, but it's color images, so it's not that old, right?
Right.
And then open it, first page, there is some signature.
Yeah, that's Von de Bonnen.
Yeah, it says 1839, 1838, whatever that says. But it's in a different handwriting and ink than the other thing that is there.
Yeah, that's the map overlay thing. Yeah.
Right. There's this weird overlay where, again, if you had like a microfiche or you had a projector, you could overlay this on that, and maybe it would be on a map somewhere. And then next to that, on the next page, is a bunch of coordinates and angles from the pyramid that Alex was talking about, the 50 Joanna, and then a cipher of some sort with a compass rose, and then the hand eye 369 thing.
Yeah. And you guys should be able to see actually all the pages in this book as we go through.
Yeah,
like,
I'm going through it all now. It's like
you can see it, but
shit.
Yeah, but we'll get to a bunch more of it, but you can use this to follow along.
It has a real life vibe of that Ship of Theseus book.
Yes, definitely.
It's almost like a zodiac sign over in like page 503. There's like the Illuminati.
It's extremely
pyramid.
Da Vinci Cody. It's extremely like
it could just be like a mentally ill man's crazy shit too. Like that's very possible.
That is very possible, but I seriously doubt it based on what I'm about to tell you.
Okay, cool.
So as you start to get a picture of what kind of situation we're dealing with, you start to realize this isn't like some Marble Hornets type shit or something. This is not like somebody trying to make a internet ARG, really. This is like something with complexity. There's thematic layers, like a novel here. You have a knowledge of like to create this, as you'll see, you're going to need something like esoteric American history knowledge, like folk history knowledge almost, geography, cartography, literature, deep understanding of the philosophical, like cultural perspective and rituals behind various secret societies, the Freemasons, the occult, a deeply intimate relationship with Cherokee culture is a big part of this. So this isn't like the right like demographic. Like if you were trying to profile like the people that make something like Slenderman or some shit like that, totally different type of person than is making this, because of the just literal amount of expertise required would not like, convince somebody.
Work.
It's a much more like deep work. Let's say there's a lot more at play. There's a lot more thinking that went into this.
If it is a giant game or a hoax, somebody who has wild amounts of knowledge about things.
I wouldn't call it a hoax. Like I don't think it's trying to be anything other than being like a weird tapestry or whatever it is.
Not as an analogy, because it's not a one-to-one, but it all reminds me of like the guy who was talking about genetics on Reddit and like with the UAP stuff and the amount of just genetic understanding that he knew, and like from actual scientists, like, well, if he is faking it, he's like a guy who knows his shit.
And that guy was faking it. Like there was some stuff that he was saying that was like real experts were like, okay, this guy, you can see where his gaps in knowledge are. This is not like that. This is like, this is extremely extreme. In one situation, which I'm not going to go into here, one of the things is like, there's like this diagram of this like boat looking thing on one of the pages. I forget what page it is. But it's like this kind of like, it looks almost like a Viking, like memorial of a boat. I can't remember what page it's on. I'm kind of quickly scrolling to see if I can find it, but it's like almost like a boat image, like inlaid in the earth that like looks like a boat fossil from the top. Right. And it's in this book as an image. And when you look at what it actually is, it was a, art piece that had been unveiled like after this book was found.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wait, so, like out of time, like impossibility?
Wait, you mean the person writing in the book wrote it in there?
Yeah.
Not a photo was taken.
Oh,
No, yeah, the photo is this book is from 1959, like I say. It was a drawing in the book that corresponded exactly to that thing. Like it's definitive.
Sure. I'm just trying to figure out, so like there is two things going on here.
Yeah.
It's a book from the 1950s. With writing that looks modern, but then some guy's signature from the 1800s. Like, there's a lot going on in this that doesn't make a lot of sense right now.
But like I'm saying, it's intertextual. There's this like theme of.
Okay, let me put this out there real quick. Could the guy who says he found the book have added all this stuff into it? If he found the book, was the art when he posted about it? Was the art piece already revealed at that point? Is that something he could have retroactively put into the book?
It's theoretically possible that this person is involved with the creation of that art piece in some sort of administrative way and could have included it in the book. But we'll get more into who maybe made this in a little bit. In terms of like locality of the locations mentioned in the book, most of them are around Tennessee, Georgia, North and South Carolina, just generally the Appalachian region of the United States also, just kind of like as a general zone, which if you don't know what that is, it's like a mountainous region that's kind of like the most ancient American culture that exists in our country in a way. It's very it's very backwoods, but it's very like insulated, like in the way that like Darwinian evolution occurs because of isolation. Appalachian culture is one of the most uniquely American cultures that's not like, you know, totally from the outside. It obviously draws on a lot of things, but there's a very storied connection to folk magic in Appalachia and the occult in Appalachia in its own right, not to mention all the significant sites for ancient Cherokee history that exist right under all our noses everywhere in this entire thing. And in fact, this is just hearsay that I've picked up here and there. But I've heard that somewhere out there is like a similar issue of Chilluminati magazine, like the one for the Chilluminati Kid Core, like the one we used for the Bigfoot toes. I actually heard that there is a guide to Appalachian folk magic that's out there. It's been up on and off sale over the years. I don't know who's got it. I don't know where it is. If anybody's out there, sees it on eBay, contact me on Blue Sky, fossiania.bsky.social. Please let me know. I would love to get my hands on a copy of it. Maybe we can make an episode out of it if I find one. I don't know. But anyway, one of the Redditors decides that one avenue of investigation that nobody has tried is to contact the shop where the book was supposedly found. So
that's smart.
Going around OP, just going completely around OP, going to the shop itself. And this is where things start to get strange. So here's a quote from the Google Doc of the person who did this that Jesse's going to read.
I contacted the shop mentioned in the original post about the So Joanna book. They said the book was never at their shop, but they did receive an anonymous letter before the first So Joanna post was made containing photocopies of the book. They also mentioned that their friend's elderly father is said to own the shop. Perhaps the letter was meant for him. In a second conversation, a shopkeeper revealed they had many copies of Around the World in 1,000 Pictures, prequel to Around the World in 2,000 Pictures.
That's the one that the book is 2,000 Pictures.
In the back of their shop, but they never let anyone back there due to not wanting people touching their books.
So, weird development, right? They didn't sell the book. They don't know where this copy of this book came from. Nobody could have touched their copies of the first book, even though they don't have any copies of the second book. But they did receive in the mail, even though they didn't post it online anywhere, they did receive in the mail photocopied pages of the book, amongst other things, in a letter, which these people only found out about by contacting the shop. So everybody understands what's going on here. But it's also not totally what you want to hear, because if OP didn't actually get the book from the shop,
that's lie one.
Why would somebody have contacted them? And anyway, we'll get back to the letter and what was in that letter in a minute. I just want to dive back into the book for a little bit, continue giving a sense of the depth of this mystery, because maybe just looking at the first page isn't enough. And this Google Doc and this subreddit sticky post really are like pretty comprehensive. So I just want to give you guys a bigger sense, because this goes so much farther than you probably expect. And we're just going to hit a few more highlights. If you want to see a full video version of this, there's a slightly out of date video about it from Virtual Carbon on YouTube that you can watch, where he goes in and goes through every page and every single thing. There's like 50 pages with stuff on them in the book. So he goes bang, 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 and draws a bunch of lines and explains everything. So you can go watch that. That'll be in the show notes. I'll also toss you a link to the main community post, sticky post, that has like links to everything. So you can like see this if you want to do research of your own. But yeah, I'll give you those things in the show notes. But we'll do like a greatest hits right now, for some stuff that you need to know to kind of understand the mechanics of this as a mystery. So on page 18 of the book is the phrase Crossfire Gambit, which is written next to Nelson's Monument in London, UK. You can probably see this on page 18 of the scan. If you go to the page, that's number 18. I don't know where that is in the book. It was probably added later I don't know if they're referencing page 18 as in like the 18th scanned page or what. But that doesn't really matter. The point is that somewhere in this book is an obelisk in England, and written on that obelisk is Crossfire Gambit, the phrase Crossfire Gambit. And if you went to crossfiregambit.com at the time, you would find a list of words organized in a significant way, which will become clearer as we move forward. But just give the listeners a sense of it right now if you can. I'm going to give you a link because the site kind of went down last year permanently, I think. So here's an archive of it that I from how it appeared in August of 2022. Exactly as it was. It was encoded in HTML1, even though it's from 2019, which is kind of weird.
It literally just is a straight up list in like Times New Roman size 11 that says Crossfire Gambit, and then names that are like batches of what? It looks like 10 when we count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, it cycles between red and white.
13 red and white back and forth.
Alphabetical.
And sometimes it's
Alphabetical.
real ass words, and sometimes it's names, and sometimes it's celebrities or famous people, and sometimes it's like for example, this is just one order: Klingman, Lemon, Medicine, Down, Musket, Noland, Nowhere, Ophelia, Pork Chop, Quilt Pattern, Red Barn, Ribcage, Rosa, Rusty Knife.
Yeah.
Just random stuff.
And then at the bottom is the word map in lowercase.
Right.
Also.
And that is not a link. It just says map.
Yeah. Weird. So keep that open too, probably. So also on page, and this is going to be in the show notes, don't worry. Also on page 30 and 31, there's coordinates leading to the site of the Georgia Guidestones, which we've covered a bit on the show. Do you guys remember these things enough to talk about them for a second?
Right?
Yes,
They got blowed up.
Yes, we'll get to that in a minute, but it's more like the American Stonehenge. It was made by some kind of mysterious benefactors. It has these weird sort of like New World Order quotes on it that kind of imply things like population control or whatever. It's
And then people got freaked out, and so some religious nuts blew it up.
That's right. Yeah.
well, check this out.
I mean, it's what happened.
On page 30 and page 31, there's coordinates leading to it. There's a little cube drawing on the page also. This, I think, is actually here. If you actually go to the Google Doc, you can also like click and it'll link you directly to each page.
Yeah, I see it. The cube says MM1620.
Yeah, there's a little cube on the page that's like in the middle of the Georgia Guidestone coordinates. And that cube is a reference. It's a drawing of an actual cube that was set into the Guidestones at one point that had the same numbers and letters on it. The top one is MM, which is 2000 in Roman numerals. The bottom says JAM. The other four sides say 20, 14, 16, and 8. And what's weirder than that is that if you know your Georgia Guidestones history, that stone that's in the book is actually the replacement stone for an unmarked stone that was stolen on September 11th, 2009 from the Georgia Guidestones out of nowhere. From what I understand, reading this from a couple different sources that are not the most official, the new version of the stone was placed there to commemorate the wedding of a friend of the person who stole the original cube, who was related to somebody who worked on the stones, and who would also come often to the stones and clean them. So the person who was cleaning the stones with like getting graffiti off them and stuff also was the person who stole the original stone, and his friend came and brought back a new one with writing on it. And so that means that these people that are stealing and including the stone are connected to the stones in some way. And as you likely know, or we've maybe already mentioned, the stones were bombed beyond repair by an unknown vandal on July 6th, 2022, not that long ago, causing them to be removed for good. They're not totally destroyed, but the remains of the monument, which were not including the stone cube, which was fully destroyed apparently, are being donated to the Elberton, Georgia Granite Association, and the land is being returned to the local farm that it was originally owned it before it was like the state had it for the Guidestones to be there. They're going to try and rebuild it, but they don't know when or how. But the vibe is that they want to the vibe is that they want to rebuild it. But just in case you want to see it again, I know we covered it when it was on the show, but here's a clip of it from Wikipedia of the bomb actually going off and like destroying the stones. It's actually crazy. They're just like,
what's weird about it is it's clear that the Guidestones themselves were just some rich dude's fantasy of leaving something behind for people if there was ever an apocalypse. Literally, it's called the Guidestones, and it gives you advice on how to survive.
Yeah, it feels a little proto-musky. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, it's the exact same thing. I don't know if any of you are on social media a lot, but a lot of Instagram, there's a lot of people doing videos, TikTok as well, where they're like, I found this book online, and it's a book that tells you how to restart life if there's the exact same concept.
Yeah.
Exact same concept.
Yeah. It's exactly what it is.
But people got weirded out because the wording was like, there should only be so many people.
Yeah.
And like, things that if we were trying to restart society would make a lot of sense. But right now seems,
yeah. So I'm not really saying So Joanna necessarily has anything to do with the destruction of the Georgia Guidestones. The timing of the destruction and when So Joanna was going on is definitely a little bit conspicuous. Considering that somebody was doing a lot of preparation for something that was heavily involving the Georgia Guidestones at the time, and people were investigating actively, and then they exploded. And the Guidestones themselves are like a significant part of the mysteries tapestry. So who knows? Who knows? Certainly, I am convinced at the very least that the person who made this was organized enough to have carried out the destruction of the Georgia Guidestones, though nothing about this seems to imply that they did. I just want to say that.
For sure. I agree. I see. Yeah, for sure. I agree with that.
So, for example, then, just to give you an idea, moving on to page 37 of the book, which is also about England, there's an extra 4 handwritten onto one of the pages, like the digital 4, like a number 4. But are you guys looking at page 37? This one you guys should look at because it's pretty crazy. Because you're going to start to like see the scale of this. I want you to. I'm looking for page 37 right now.
It looks like a constellation or something.
Yeah, it looks like somebody was like bubbling in like a test or something on a paper above this, but it's actually really small, like on the book, like smaller than like you would think it would be. But you can kind of just see. It just looks like somebody took a pencil and just kind of like
like a star in the top somewhere.
Yeah, but you know what's actually fucking crazy about that is that they conform. These dots are a perfect 1-to-1 of an array of sensor or golf ball things at the RAF Menwith Hill site, which is a RAF Menwith Hill in UK. What? It's a satellite tracking intelligence gathering station in North Yorkshire. Look at this.
What?
Look at this.
Wait, so I don't understand. Like, what do you mean? Like, I'm
going to give you a link. I'm going to give you a link, and you'll know exactly what I'm saying. This
me too stupid to understand.
No. So look at this image of the aerial photograph of this base.
Oh, I see.
You see it? And now if you look at the page of this thing, you can see that it is a literal exact 1-to-1 of every little dot on there. And you see how the one dot is a star?
Yeah.
The one dot on there is like a little asterisk. That one is a plaza on the grounds of the base.
Huh.
And it seems to be indicating that like something that you should be thinking about starts at that point in that plaza.
This man, like remote viewing.
I don't know what's happening, but that's real. Also, there's on page 49.
I would say, for the record, Alex is right that it does seem very, very similar. My immediate reaction is this is one of those things that there's a bunch of random shit in this book, and people are really intent on discovering what it means, and so they're associating with things.
Unless
it's not exactly 1-to-1.
It's exactly 1-to-1.
It's close, but it's not exactly 1-to-1.
It's unmistakable.
There are other buildings, there are other things in the facility that are not listed.
That's true, but that's the whole point is that it's trying to show you it's this, and then the asterisk is where you need to look.
Understood. I'm just saying I could be a little skeptical here and just say we're down a rabbit hole.
Sure.
But I'm down. Let's see where we go.
I would keep an eye also on this Crossfire Gambit list as we go through this. Just for you.
I think they're their locations, Crossfire Gambit, right?
The Crossfire Gambit is just a list of words. Freemason cipher on page 49 is another thing we can look at. That one I know is on this Imgur link. There's a couple different Imgur links that you can find out there. This one I think is the most complete. All the pages are available that I'm talking about somewhere. You will be able to look at them if I mention them for sure. But if you look at the one page 49, it's got a like famous type of cipher that's called a Freemason cipher. That's like a known and easily solvable cipher if you just have a guide to it. It's the one that's page 49, Scotland. It's there. And the thing that's interesting about that, it decodes to Tallulah Joanna, which are both words on the Crossfire Gambit. So like the Crossfire Gambit is almost like a way to make sure that what weird thing you're onto is actually something that they have considered. And all the little different locations and areas are mapped out, and you can draw, and there's lines. You can like double check and confirm your work that all the little rays and lines that you're drawing are correct, right? Like, what do you guys think that's about? Why do you think that's here? You think it's just to make it seem more significant than it is?
I have no clue.
Yeah, I
couldn't even like most of it. Again, most of it is so crazy and out there that it genuinely seems like people are so invested in solving it, they're just throwing, like, none of it is cohesive. It doesn't make sense that it would be.
Would you feel like it was more cohesive if when you went to the location there was like some sign of the larger mystery?
No, I mean, basically what you said is, here's a pyramid thing. It's pointing this way. It says Joanna. Think Trail of Tears. And then the next thing was, okay, now we're going to talk about Guidestones. The next thing was, now we're going to go talk about this base in a totally different country. Like, it's so all over the place that I genuinely have a hard time believing that it's connected in any sort of way to anything.
You can take my word for it that, like, if you actually go page by page, that it intersects a lot more. I was just trying to show you kind of like all the different mechanisms at play here that are like constructing this mystery.
I understand what it's trying to do.
Yeah.
I'm saying that it's so grand that it, to me, seems like the makeup of people on Reddit creating a thing rather than solving it. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
They took whatever this is and created something other than what it really is.
I guess the concern would be like the longer it goes, the more opportunity Redditors have to get to these places and put things there for other people to find. And that's the dangerous thing of just the internet.
I just want to know where this goes, you know? Like, where's the... Yeah.
Page 503. They see coordinates leading to Nolta Church in Cherokee County. And a Redditor is like, that's pretty close to me. I'm going to go check it out. So they go check it out. I was already interested in this page 503 because on the opposite page is the Eye of Providence, which I've already talked about today. The symbol for our own show, the symbol for the actual Illuminati, kind of like also the symbol for dollar bills in a way, if you want to say that. That was printed on the other page. But here's what they found when they got there. And you'll start to see how complicated this is. So this is the imagery link to this. There is graffiti in Cherokee. The handwriting is the same as the handwriting in the book. It decodes all the Cherokee translates to phrases: triangle, 7, star, goat, new, Echota, which is another Cherokee city. The Bible verse, Exodus 2:08, which reminds us to remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. A tear shape with the letters BB under it, which connects it to Crossfire Gambit, which if you go look at BB is one of the words, one of the words on Crossfire Gambit. So then, also there's the eyeball. You see the poker hand sticker. We'll get back to that, but those are also things that are there. Because the one thing that's really crazy about this is that somebody just went here because they live close to it. This is a random one of these things to go visit, and there was stuff there, and they found it immediately, and it's clearly written in the same hand as the writing in the book, which kind of seems to imply that perhaps there may be like an entire regional network of things exactly like this out there that people just haven't been able to locate yet. For lack of organization and manpower. And just in case you're thinking to yourself, surely this is easy to do. Maybe if they were serious about this, people would go do this. Here is a Google Earth map of all the locations mentioned so far and discovered so far in this mystery. You can click on this, and it's like a community thing that people have done to go in and actually draw all the lines and things on the map that you need to see. You can see all the things are like kind of localized in different cities. So you can see that probably what happened is that somebody went around, did things in all these little different locations that are, you can kind of like just see from the concentration of things that, like, you know, it's obviously somebody who's like maybe a hiker who, you know, visits these sort of specific places in this region and knows a lot about this region maybe that are doing this, but it's a lot of like, let the people know, like, there's a lot of fucking shit on this map, right?
It's just very bizarre that it's the vast majority are continental U.S. East Coast.
Yeah.
And then for some reason, Vegas and Honolulu.
Yeah.
But then also
vacation spots, though.
The middle of, I don't even know where that is. Looks like Switzerland.
Yeah. But also like another place, like if this is one person, those, and you told me, oh, that's where they went on vacation, I would believe you, right? Like, it's still possible. I do believe that everything that has been found and discovered is one thing. So another thing you might notice on the Google Earth map is that the card theme from the graffiti sticker thing has continued onto the map. And that is because after a while, progress started to dry up on So Joanna. Unfortunately, just as that was happening, a post showed up on another subreddit called FoundPaper. Are you guys familiar with this subreddit?
No.
Which is like a subreddit where people like find strips of paper on the ground and just post them because it's always cryptic because you never know the context of a piece of paper. But there was a user called Windy Wendy who made a post on there, and Mathis is going to read that post for us right now.
Okay. My first good find. Bizarre pull-tab flyer found on ground in Maggie Valley, NC. Ad points to website with only a list of words on it, and those words are on the back of the tabs with playing card symbols.
So here's a link to that post, which includes links to the pictures. I'll let the boys describe this to you. You can kind of see what's going on here yourself.
Oh, God. Yeah, it says, it's like, again, one of those like flyers where it's like, if you want this job, here's a number, and it's like, you pull tab it, except it's just crossfiregambit.com, and then the back of these pull tabs are card symbols with a name above them, like when I'm assuming names from Crossfire Gambit.
Correct. That is correct. So check it out. So the house in the faded image that you can see there on that piece of paper has something on it called an Appalachian quilt trail marker. Which ties it to a tradition of decorating barns along trails with beautiful, giant, unique quilt patterns that have all kinds of traditional meanings and intention behind them, right? And if you go onto Crossfire Gambit, there's something that says quilt pattern, by the way. This text, there's also text that's a line from an obscure Cherokee poem called Nightland. There's only one copy of this poem online from a 2010 article from the Smoky Mountain News, from a guy in Bryson City, North Carolina, that you can read. Huh. The Crossfire Gambit URL on this flyer was the first time that people found this website. The website was discovered when this flyer went out, and when people realized these words were all throughout the book, the like Crossfire Gambit words, they realized that, oh my God, all these things are like on a list of keywords on this website. They looked at the configuration of the site. They see the 4 different sections of color, and it breaks the 52 words on the list into 4 groups, just like the deck of cards that you may see. So they actually found out that there's actually a sort of like correlation between the deck of cards, suits, and names, the list, and the locations.
So is that why on Crossfire Gambit, the first bit is red, the next bit is white, the next bit is red, the next bit is white, as in it would be the 2 red suits, then the
and
2
it actually
black
matches.
ones,
It actually matches specific cards with their names on the list on the flyer.
Yeah, so, looking at it now, looking at the flyer and looking at what it is, it all makes sense.
So it's like locked. Sure. So it's now a lot more intention. And then you think back to the poker hand on the post, and you're like, that's 4 cards in that poker hand that all could like connect to words, and it's like almost like internet. It's almost like hypertext. Do you know what I'm saying? It's almost like you go to the place and you get like links to other things like on a Wikipedia page. It's like a real life Wikipedia of information about like the Cherokee Nation and the Appalachian region of like Eastern North America. Look at that post, the thing with all the scrawling on it, the graffiti on the post.
Yeah.
You look at it and it has like all these words. It's like triangle, goat, whatever. Those words then like connect to cards, which are there, that are also connected to words that are concepts in the Crossfire Gambit that are almost like file folders of data. And so when you like draw the lines and you follow the clues in the book, you start to see historical and cultural significance between the different items that are being listed and it's like a web. It's like a real world.
Am I like not high enough or too high?
Honestly, Mathis, I'm with you that like this feels like a mile wide and an inch deep.
Yeah.
Like I can't figure out what like it is so intricate and detailed, but like I don't
like looking at just if the Wayback Machine shows that Crossfire has only existed since 2020. It hasn't even been around long. It's brand new, which means it would have to have been invented around the time of this Reddit thing started going around. It's weird that and what year was the post for
2019? 2019.
So right when the website came into existence, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it could be tied into be like this person trying to reignite, because you said it was also happening when interest was declining into the mystery. So what a perfect opportunity.
The website existing, but there's a reason why we know that the word list already existed. And I'll get to that in a second. It's just that we didn't find the website until this clue came out.
Do people have an idea of like what this is all about?
Not really, other than the themes, right? Like you can kind of put together, like if you participate in this and explore it and investigate it, you will come out of it with the knowledge of a bunch of parts of American culture that you did not know anything about. And I believe that's the intention of it. But basically, so we got the cards. We know about this like network of interconnected concepts in physical space as well as in this book. But then they also find the one word medicine down is also a second URL, medicinedown.com, that leads to a page of the Murphy pyramid again. The resolution of the image is 1838 by 1838. There's more words on that picture that like connect to more words from the Crossfire Gambit. It just keeps going. It keeps going. And then they notice something else strange. So we go back to the anonymous letter that the shopkeeper got again, and we're looking at this, and we see, I'll show you this link right here to the letter that showed up. I told you there was an anonymous letter that they didn't report on. It's basically just a scan of the first couple pages of the book. You also get the Crossfire Gambit list here, except it looks typewritten, like a page. There's also a scan of what appears to be an internal Freemasonry document for the construction of a monument in Waynesville, North Carolina, which is one of the things that's mentioned elsewhere in the book via coordinates and clues. It also mentions that there is a, quote, memorial deposit buried under that monument. Attached, but the one thing that's very interesting about this is that the first page with the signature that we know about that has the overlay of the map and all that stuff, the So Joanna page, attached to the very first inside page is something that wasn't in the original scans, which was a sticky note. And the sticky note seems to have been there when the lines were drawn on the page, because some of the line from the map actually extends onto the sticky note, if you see it. And on the sticky note, it says, quote, Mary, this is the So Joanna book. Private radio network, 11 princesses of the Cherokee. And here is Mathis with a quote from the investigator about that letter and what they thought of it.
This puzzled me at first. The sticky note is clearly Blue Pen's handwriting, and they, and Gray as well, have shown deep familiarity with Cherokee culture to the extent that their Cherokee writing is better than their English. How could they not know that the Cherokee didn't have princesses and that was a myth caused by settlers being confused by the Cherokee's different gender roles? Then I realized the 11 quote-unquote princesses must be the radio towers. And if you total the number of Crossfire Gambit locations implied by the book to be or known to be via coordinates to be radio towers, you get exactly 11, though Red Barn could make 12, but it's radio dishes and golf balls. The shopkeeper has confirmed that they are not Mary. Also, one of the lines extends onto the sticky note, so it may have been drawn while the sticky was on the book.
So to go back to these radio towers, if you go to that Google Earth map, a lot of those locations are literally radio towers is what they're talking about. Okay. So they're saying that if they were like, oh, okay, maybe the princesses are radio towers, because another thing that's a big part of this theming wise has to do with radio towers and surveillance and satellites. That's like a big theme of all the locations and stuff in this mystery. And so that's just their theory about that. But
I mean, it's a weird, I understand the idea of, okay, there's 11 things and there weren't princesses, but there are radio. Like, I get the trajectory of that, but I don't understand the logical leap of princesses equal radio tower. Like, what about if I was writing a riddle, for example, what about princesses would equate to radio towers? Does that make any sense? Like,
yes.
Like, they aren't broadcasting like old time mythology dramas. Like, what is, I don't understand the why.
I'm not immersed in this deep enough to tell you. All I can tell you is that, like, if you actually go look at the Google Doc for this, the amount of like intersection and like thematic resonance that these locations and place like puzzles and names and words have with each other is very much like intentional and ever expanding. It's extremely
like,
novelistic.
I understand. Yeah. It's just like there's a lot of
Like, I'm sure that there's some reason why he's thinking about princesses and radio towers that involves like more theming here. I just literally like, there's still so much more to this. I'm not going to go into the specifics of this any further. I just kind of wanted you to kind of understand how it was built, how this information was structured, how it is kind of trying to get you to go out there. But here's one more thing that I want to mention first. If you believe the timeline of the original story, this thing calling this sticky note, which says this is the So Joanna book on it, right, existed before the post was made because nobody ever saw it because this person got this letter anonymously, right? And yet it still says So Joanna. But as we know from investigating it, it doesn't actually say So Joanna. It actually is a 50, right? So now that's got people thinking like, is OP the creator of the thing, which probably is an obvious yes already. But then like, what's going on with his shop? Did they just send this to the shop thinking that the post would lead them to the shop and then the shopkeeper would be like, I got this weird letter. Like maybe the shopkeeper isn't involved. It's totally crazy. The username of the person who is OP is Senator Junkie Einstein, which Einstein is one of the words. Crossfire Gambit words. So it's crazy. And then Windy Wendy, the FoundPaper user who posted the flyer, has her name mirrored by a Twitter account that shows up on Christmas 2022, has all these other clues in it. Wendy is spelled with an I in both situations, so you know it's the same Wendy. Now, there's so much more going on. There's videos, these clues, there's song lyrics, there's all these things. There's these videos. They find a YouTube account that is like posting these videos that are from this guy, RickyMacchristen3302, which calls to mind Cicada3301. Yeah. It was up the whole time that the mystery was existing. They found the thing. The videos are like not low production value. They're like pretty, like somebody who knows what they're doing made the videos. This keeps going and going and going till this April. A final video is posted. The density is just too much to get into the specific details of it, but So Joanna has not been solved. Nobody knows who made it or why. In the aftermath of Hurricane, Helen, in September, the one that like fucking wiped out a bunch of shit in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Nobody even knows how much of this shit is still out there to be accessible in the aftermath of this fucking horrible storm, since it's basically like just hit the area where this thing takes place. And, you know, some people are going to shrug this off and tell you it's an unfinished internet ARG. There's a million of these out there. But to me, if you go and you look at this information and you spend a couple hours reading about it, there is never going to be that moment when you're doing an ARG on the internet that I always feel where you hit that point and then you go, oh, this is just bullshit. Like, I don't want to do this anymore because there's nothing of significance here. Every inch of this smacks of intention. It's crazy. It's not a lo-fi thing. Like, the person is skilled. The person has knowledge. The amount of thinking that probably went into this before it was launched, for everything to launch so simultaneously with so much complex stuff there, like, to be found in any order, you know, is staggering. And it's just really one of the most fascinating, complex pieces of outsider art that I have ever seen.
These videos are funky.
Yeah.
It's like too complex.
Yeah.
This is an Alex Fossiani level of complexity that is like,
if I had 5 of me, I could do this.
it's too much. Like, there's a reason why it's unsolved. It's too much.
Yeah.
This is like someone tried to create a thing, and that thing is using moon logic for a lot of its
I don't believe
puzzles.
I don't actually
hang on. We're a bunch of
solvable.
old dudes. Like, Jesse, you have to explain what moon logic is to people.
Moon logic is a term derived from old point-and-click games where a great example is, let's say you're doing a point-and-click game and you need to solve a puzzle, and the answer should be, I have to open the door. How do I open the door? And you're looking for keys, looking for this, looking for whatever, and the result is, actually, you turn on the microwave. And you're like, what? How would I?
The microwave heats up a glass of water that creates steam that goes up to a fan that rotates the fan that throws a key that was hidden on top of the fan onto the ground.
Holy shit. Yeah. And that's I can visually see that in many a game.
Yeah. And that's how, and you're just like, that's stupid, but for some reason, that's what the devs thought would be a cool puzzle. And that's the same vibe here, is it's like a cool puzzle. There's a lot going on, and I think it's super interesting, but also it is purposefully too complicated for its own good.
And one of the videos is 20 minutes long. Like, holy Jesus.
I don't really think this is something that somebody made to be solved, personally. I think what this is it's like what do you call that? A cat's cradle? It's like a beautiful sort of like significance tapestry that was like laid out. There may be somebody still working on it, and it asks you to investigate it, and you get stuff out of it, and it's seemingly endless. To me, I think this is like somebody's art piece that they're making to like finish, rather than that it's like a thing that is going to be solved. Does that make sense? I think the structure of it will be revealed more like how we mapped the genome of humanity, more than that we're going to find like an answer. I think we're going to find like that you could map this. Does that make sense? Like it's almost like a cloud save, a cloud drive that has a bunch of Cherokee culture, like that's like built into the land itself.
Like it has some Cherokee culture, but I can't.
There's a lot. Like I swear to God, I just gave you like a very, very light tour of this. Like seriously,
I understand.
Yeah, seriously.
What I'm saying is like it doesn't. It seems weird to me that your whole thing of like I need to tell the world about Cherokee culture is to do it in the hardest way possible.
It could be.
I don't know. Like there's like a lot here that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, the only way that I can like impart this to you in a comprehensive way is to like dedicate my life to learning about it. But
sure, I mean, it definitely has crazy guy made this vibes.
Yes, yes.
But a very,
like crazy because he's so fucking smart. He like cannot relate to humanity on a common man
not an
level.
Insane person, just
sometimes intelligence and genius and insanity are very close to one another.
Yeah, I don't know.
They touch tips. They touch tips. They don't fully dock, but they touch.
Absolutely not nonsensical. That's my point. My point is that it's based in like history, facts. Like it's really fascinating.
I see really that for sure.
All right, number 2 of 6. Here we go. Personal Hedgehog. They're not all this long. Personal Hedgehog. This is a fun one because it feels like the writers of reality are messing with our podcast specifically sometimes. Our second entry is
Isn't it weird that some weird synchronicities happened ever since I started the show? The weirdest synchronicities have happened. Like when you did the Philadelphia experiment. Yeah. We did it during the anniversary of the Philadelphia. That was like
without thinking about it. Yeah.
Yeah, that just happened.
Our second entry is based on an absolutely incredible Reddit post by the user National Sort on our internet mysteries. But before we begin, I need to tell you a little about this influencer weirdo person called Carolyn Calloway. Do you know this person? Have you heard of this person?
No.
Basically, she went to Cambridge like in 2013, graduated 2016, something like that. Despite eventually admitting that she forged her academic credentials. And while she was there, her and her friend Natalie Beach worked to make her famous by vlogging about life at Cambridge, being a student there, writing these like really long image captions on like early Instagram. People got really into reading them. The drama is very large. Wild stuff is always happening in her career. You don't need to know that much about her just to get a sense of her. She's getting book deals. They're falling through. She hires her friend Natalie to ghostwrite shit for her. She does these weird workshops that she crowdfunds, and then she doesn't book any venues, so all the money has to go back to her. She gets this reputation for scamming everyone. She starts branding herself as a scammer. She makes a workshop called The Scam next. She makes like $250,000 a year doing OnlyFans cosplay stuff. But also is like anti-sex work somehow. She sells literal grapeseed essential oil blends called snake oil. Oh my God, standard influencer shit.
Holy Jesus, man. Sometimes I wonder how much richer we could be if we just had no morals, no conscience, no.
I think about it all the time.
Is it okay to just like a person going into the story, like immediately be like, you know what?
I did this on purpose. Also, her friend Natalie, her friend Natalie wrote this like viral article on The Cut about what it was like doing all the hard work of a famous person with no real obstacles in their life.
I remember that. Yes.
It was like a friendship thing. Like a lot of girls, especially, were like, I have like this friendship. I have this relationship with somebody, and we're not famous, but it's like I'm the like brains and they're the brawn, or like whatever. I'm sure we know people who operate like this, who depend on people with actual skill around them. But the point is, in the end, lots of people online hated this woman, as you guys are starting to already, and lots of like personalities she ended up with. Like, do you know what Get Off My Internets is?
No.
Gomi. It's like a, they call it snarking. It's like mommy vloggers, I think, originally started it, but it's like basically like a like less just depraved. You know how like lolcow is like awful? They call this.
No, I don't know what that is.
Well, they call this snarking because it's like a hate festival, like, you know, Conspiracy Grumps or something like that. It's like a fucking,
just like a place that is built just to be.
It's like an anti-place.
And like,
Yeah,
build
it's like
narratives in your mind as to why two people
it's like
secretly
a home for the
hate
drama.
each other or whatever.
Yeah, so Gomi or Get Off My Internets was like a place where you could like go do that for people, but it eventually spun off into like there's a subreddit for it, and then Carolyn Calloway gets her own one called R Small Bean Snark. I don't know what that is. I don't know enough about Carolyn Calloway to understand the reference, but it's where people go to snark on her, which, unlikely as it sounds, is exactly where our story proper begins. On April 7th, 2020, a user on the sub called Personal Hedgehog makes a post that she calls a cease and desist that sort of defends Carolyn from the quote-unquote haters in a fairly unhinged way. Here's Jesse with the post for all of your ears to hear. Just give it a little read. It's a long one. I'm sorry. You can just read to the point where it says memorandum.
All right. To all members of this subreddit causing the spread of lies about Carolyn Calloway, a memorandum. Carolyn has asked me to remain anonymous, so I will honor her wishes. Needless to say, I am very close to her and have been for several years, and what I have seen gone on here is abhorrent and takes my breath away. For that reason, this memorandum is an official cease and desist to all members of this subreddit, especially the ones who cause the spread of lies about Caroline.
That'll surely work on the internet.
Yeah.
Sure. For example, one popular lie is that the money she raised from the article she wrote, the $30,000, will not be going to charity, but instead she will be keeping it. No, this is a lie. You must stop saying this lie at once. Any future times I see this lie, I am under authority to email the comment in question to Carolyn Calloway and to her attorney, whose name you cannot know due to attorney-client confidentiality. I also want to add one more thing. Carolyn didn't ask me to do this. She, in fact, discouraged me but guess what? I'm going to stick up for my friend. She has given me the authority to send any lies about her to her email account.
You know what? That's actually fun. That's actually fun.
Wait, you guys, so much
you
more.
Guys, we get it, right? You get it. You
This
get
is
what
definitely
no,
not
no,
Caroline.
I'm going.
Yeah,
This is
you
so
gotta
good.
finish this.
Okay.
I
All right.
definitely not Caroline typing
right.
this comment.
All right. Yeah.
I want to also add one last thing. I realize this will not apply to many of you. Some of you on this Reddit aren't here to be cruel and to spread lies. For example, the lie that she is a bad mother of cats. I do recognize that you are here, some of you, to engage in topics like Caroline's fashion sense, Caroline's hair and makeup routines, Caroline's interior decorating, Caroline's travel adventures, Caroline's gardening, etc.
This is bullet pointed phenomenally.
Of course, we are both sensible people and see that topics like that can be a lot of fun to discuss and for the most part are not filled with lies. However, the lying angles to this Reddit must cease and desist officially and legally. Again, I tell you I have the authority to pass on the lying comments to both Caroline and her hired attorney, who must remain anonymous. Thank you for reading the memorandum. As one final act, I would like to spur off a fun conversation. What is your favorite garment of Caroline's? She knows this, of course, but I simply adore and covet that big, chunky yellow sweater. Of course, it is not seasonable for in Florida. She's from Florida, that checks out. But it is a favorite winter garment. I can't wait to hear what your favorites are, and feel free to point me in the direction of any lies that I should be passing along.
So
signed, Caroline.
Yeah.
That's definitely not Caroline.
Yeah.
Officially
So the writing
and
tone-
legally.
Yeah.
Signed, Elon Musk.
The writing, the tone of
Adrian
the writing is
Gitterson or
wild.
whatever.
Yeah. It's unhinged. There's like memorable flourishes and phrases that this person uses a lot in their writing. Takes my breath away is one of the things this person says all the time. Also, doesn't do it in this post, but loves to accuse strangers of, quote, projecting friendlessness onto her, which is a funny thing to say.
Amazing thing.
Yeah.
Holy fucking shit.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I love this.
I need
In
that.
fact-
That's what I'm gonna tell people.
It was such a weird account that people couldn't really even tell for sure whether she was being serious or if it was like a sarcastic troll exaggerating like the way stands are. But then probably in response to people being mean to her about them, to them about the weird post they made, lots of other comments being deleted by her, downvoted by others. Hedgehog starts posting on the LSAT subreddit, talking about applying to law school to stop people spreading lies about Caroline. She's like, I'm thinking about applying to law school to like protect her, accusing the community of brigading her, in her words, lashing out at everyone who said anything to her. And here's Mathis with a quote from her.
Today, due to this new decision, which all of my friends and family support, by the way, I reached out to some subreddits for help in applying to law school. Suspiciously, all of these posts were seriously downvoted. I can't see any reason for this except for brigading the posts and downvoting them. Basically, what this means is when a group of people decide to downvote or say rude comments in a mean tone, not because what the post says is bad, but because they don't like the poster. Even if you don't like my friend Caroline or me, please stop downvoting my posts on other subreddits by brigading. Reddit has made it clear that they can't tell me who exactly is downvoting these posts, but I do have my suspicions. If you want to clear your name, feel free to DM me. I am just trying to go into law school. You all are making that harder for me to live my dream. It gives homeschooled energy.
It's basically like bully fuel, right? It gets
I was
people
bullied,
interested.
man. I got shoved in a locker and everything like this, and I may bully this person.
This is not how you get unbullied, right?
No. This gets people you get off on being bullied. This is what you do.
This gets people fully interested in this account. That's when people start digging. They discover a similar cease and desist letter that was written by another account called Seek Truth Kindness 220, stepping up to defend Alice, a woman named Alice, who was the original creator of Get Off My Internets. This post happened 5 years before this and is not about Carolyn Calloway, but it is a very similar type of post. I'll leave it to you guys. Jesse will read a little bit of it for you now. You tell me if this is the same person.
Sorry, I really quickly just wanted to, because all this talk of scamming, I just really wanted to like look into this person some more, and the wiki page is amazing.
It's fucking crazy. Yeah.
OnlyFans. In 2020, Calloway created an OnlyFans account promising videographic and photographic content containing nudity. She alleged in interviews that her intention to enter the adult entertainment industry had been planned by Playboy, and that the magazine had commissioned a photo shoot of her dressed as a student in a library. When asked, the magazine stated, Playboy does not have any and did not have any photo shoots planned with Carolyn Calloway.
No. Yeah.
She seems like the worst.
Wow.
Truly.
And part of me, I've like, if I had to give you an amalgamation of who I think this person is, the child of the crazy woman from that one episode of
Kitchen
Hell's Kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
Or whatever.
Oh my God. The special two-parter event.
Not Hell's Kitchen, but you know what I mean.
God.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Amy's Bacon.
Kitchen
That
Nightmares.
one, the two-parter lady.
Amy's whatever. Oh my God.
Yeah, and the Amy's Bacon Coat lady and Donald Trump had a child.
Yeah.
And this is that child.
Yeah.
Oh
so
my
this quote right here that you're about to read is from supposedly another user defending another person, but we're trying to decide if this is our personal hedgehog.
Our culprit.
Genuinely crazy. Okay. It is not illegal to hurt someone's feelings online. We all know this to be true. However, I must say that this is a cease and desist. I am not a lawyer, though my sister is one, so I am familiarized with right and wrong, i.e. lawful and unlawful, and therefore cannot say this is a formal cease and desist complaint, but I must warn you, though this forum might appear anonymous, it is not in the eyes of the law. So if you say things that are not true about Alice, username Party Pants, and it leads to her business, aka Get Off My Internet's blog, failing, that is in regards to her personal income, then that is considered libel or slander, depending on the form of communication, and you can be held accountable for any unlawful commentary. On here, anywhere, I've seen it happen so many times.
Yeah. So probably
Holy
the same
shit.
person. I'm not going to say it's definitely, but it definitely feels similar.
Now, that's the husband from Amy's Baking Company.
But now, digging into the posting history of this user, they made the craziest discovery I'm going to talk about today, or maybe for this entire year. And we're all going to take a deep breath before I describe what it is, okay?
What
Ready?
is about to happen?
This is mystery 2 of 6.
Yeah, the discovery that they made was a subreddit called r/LVSS, which stands for Lingering Vaginal Scent Support,
Nope.
where people who suffer from the supposed lingering vaginal scent condition, in which bad vagina smells not only linger in your groin area, but also come up and express themselves as a bad smelling oil from the tips of your fingers.
Express them.
They go onto this subreddit to swap recipes for, quote, fish heavy dishes that can help mask the scent of vaginal scent condition.
Yo, time out.
I hate sweaty balls, fingertip secretion personally.
I'm no doctor.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you have a problem, your vagina stinks so bad that your fingers start to
It's
smell.
like you're so backed up, it's leaking
That is,
out.
you need to see a doctor.
Yeah.
You need to. That's like a whole.
I don't
thing.
think cooking some halibut's going to be gonna do it for you. But
What's crazy is like, yeah, if it stinks, just cook fish to cover up the smell. That is not a solution.
so the crazy thing that starts happening as people are looking into this is that they're realizing that, like, looking at the posts and the comments and everything, it seems to be like a world of one person's creation. It's like a bunch of accounts doing things and drama happening and unfolding. We've talked about stuff like this before on the show, but like an unfolding sort of like play as a subreddit of maybe like one person playing a bunch of... point is, you can ask me whatever questions you want about this, but first just take a look at the subreddit and you can like see it's real and whatever. You'll see one of the main users on there is somebody called Kelle Hampton, which is the name of a, quote, old school mommy blogger. But OP, as well as many people involved with this mystery, don't actually believe she runs this account and that it's just an account named after Kelle Hampton, because this user was accused of sharing photos containing excessive gore at one point on another snarky sub, and this would have been a much bigger problem for the real Kelle Hampton, who is a mommy
sort it by
influencer.
new and just look at the rocks with teeth.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah. Don't even worry about it. Here's that post for posterity if you want to read it. The weird Gore post about Kelle Hampton. If you want to read
Everything in the newest stuff is 5 years old.
Yeah, everything's
exactly.
5 years old or more.
this whole thing rolled out five years old. But really, the reason it's important is because as soon as it was discovered, as soon as this post about Kelle Hampton and the Gore was discovered by the community who was looking into this weird vaginal smell mystery, whatever.
Yeah.
Hedgehog, the original like OP that made the cease and desist letter, starts posting all these random articles into the sub, like this article about talking to your kids about COVID, or another article about an anteater, one about Nick Carraway from The Great Gatsby. But it's funny that you said sort them from new, because if you took the posts that they posted in the thing and sort them from new and read them in order, they notice something. Let's see if you guys notice the same thing.
What?
You may need to go line by line on this, but if you look at the first letter of every post that they posted, it spells out...
From new?
Yeah, from new, it spells out Caroline. Cruise ship worker reveals what it's like in isolation at sea. C. Anteater, mammal. CA, right? Review, when white working class Faerie came of age. R, right? Caroline. O. Orville Redenbacher classic. It just spells, it's an acrostic that spells Caroline if you sort the articles that this person posted by new. It's just really bizarre behavior. Then, once Hedgehog made all these weird random posts like this, the Kelle Hampton account starts replying to each one of these posts that Hedgehog starts making in a very specific way. Always in a list numbered 1 through 3. Each item on the list was always one of 4 phrases. The phrases are cap, no cap, foretold, and not foretold. Those are the 4 things that they say. It could be like 1, cap, 2, no cap, 3, not foretold. It could be like that. Any 4 things in any order. Doesn't really seem to mean anything to anyone. Nobody can decode it, but it's intriguing as fuck. So more and more people are starting to pay attention to how weird things are getting. And then comments like this start appearing on other posts off of that subreddit. So now here's one on AskReddit. That's a comment from, you can see the comment from Kelle Hampton. And it's a question. Somebody's asking, which deceased person, if brought back to life, would be the most surprised to learn they became famous posthumously? And then she comments on it, and it's like 1, cap, 2, no foretold, 3, foretold. Just weird.
Yeah, that's weird as hell.
Weird shit happening. So then Caroline Calloway just kind of fades away from the center of the story. And all the focus comes onto these like bizarre accounts and whoever's running them. They're all still posting about Carolyn, but that doesn't really matter to anybody anymore. And then suddenly this other user, the Seek Truth Kindness account that did the cease and desist for Alice that we just read, that account, after 4 years, resurrects itself and posts on the vaginal scent subreddit that, hey, this is the Seek Truth Kindness account. I just want to say that was my stepmother. I'm her stepdaughter. She's passed away. So she says that. Yeah, I know. So she comes up and she's like, I'm the stepdaughter of this person. She's passed away. And this is where we take it up another notch, because when the Kelle Hampton account commented on the post and was like, my condolences for your mother, it set off Personal Hedgehog, because Kelle had been ignoring Personal Hedgehog for hours after Personal Hedgehog commented on one of Kelly's posts, because Kelle posted that she was going to an Easter party that she would be going to, and it was in lockdown. And so Hedgehog said something like, I can't believe you're going to a party during lockdown. Like, you need to be doing social distancing. And then she was like, I can't believe you were like bitching at me about that and being mad and ignoring me, but then you went and like fucking commented on her like death post. But I'm kind of being coy about this post here, because I want you guys to read this post about this Easter party that they were going to. This is going to be Mathis reading that post right now. Here, tell me if you notice anything about it.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Immediately at just the way it opens.
Yeah.
Key lime pie is a big hit around my home, especially at this time of year with Easter just around the corner. Tomorrow, in fact. This recipe has been passed down for generations. It's true. Hands down, the best key lime pie we have ever eaten was at Cucharitaville. We had been hearing about it for many years, and a couple years ago we finally had the opportunity to travel there. It definitely was the world's greatest key lime pie, just as it was told to us. Anyone who is serious about key lime pie should be sure to include Cucharitaville in their travel plans. We guarantee it. It's the best one ever. However, this key lime pie recipe suffices too in a pinch, especially those with LVS. Add 3 graham crackers, done julienne, to a mixing bowl with a stick of butter and the secret ingredient, 1 small tube anchovy paste. Mix well. Add to a greased pie tin. Delicious. For the lime filling, just pile in some lime-flavored gelatin and let it sit in the refrigerator for about 3 hours or whatever the packet tells you to. Then, if you have an oven, you can pop it in there. Otherwise, feel free to use your propane camping gas stove. Set it on top there for approximately 10 minutes to get a nice hardened crust at the bottom. Top with whipped cream.
So now we're in another world. People start to
notice. Yeah, we're back to Coochie's key lime pies.
Really quickly, for everyone who has access to the video feed of this is so insane that my camera cleared up.
Yeah. It fixed you.
I don't know what occurred. We are so down the rabbit hole. I came out the other side.
Yeah.
This is wild.
Welcome to Cornerfest, baby.
Cornerfest, weird corners of the internet. I get it. Okay.
So then people start to notice Kelle Hampton has posted about Captain Coochie and other comments as well. Shit starts to just hit the fan. Now, the vibe starts to be that everybody is like believing that the entire cinematic universe that they're witnessing is being run by like one person. That Seek Truth is probably not dead, but probably also that same person. Kelle Hampton and Hedgehog argue in the comments while Kelle continues posting her cap, no cap, foretold, not foretold posts everywhere. The volume of posts here is staggering. If you want to go click around, you can. You can just see it's a fucking, in true Cucharitaville fashion, it's a huge network of posts to the same degree as OG Captain Coochie. And then, as if to level things up even further, another user, /she will be here soon, posts the phrase, quote, the combination has been secured. She will be here soon. And this, for some reason, sets off Personal Hedgehog, who seems legitimately scared, asks Kelle Hampton what to do, and Kelle seems to know exactly what Hedgehog is afraid of when she replies, quote, do not comment elsewhere. This is vital. You know how to reach me. And then we get this post in which Personal Hedgehog jumps on the weird cap foretold train, and she will be here soon, simply comments on it with, quote, end communication. So Personal Hedgehog's like cap, no cap, foretold, and then she will be here soon is like end communication. Then she will be here soon posts another post where they say, they are safe with me. She will be here soon. Meantime, safe with me. No cap, no forebode. Meantime, safe with me. Kelle replies to this post, safe, here, indeed. Oh, and we wait. But she will be here soon. And then Personal Hedgehog, who hadn't posted or commented since she was told to by this account, replies to "I'm scared" to Kelle, and also another comment which Jesse will read now.
Whatever this is stop being funny or helpful. Please stop doing this to me. Whatever I did or did not do to deserve this, I beg you to stop. I do not feel safe. No cap. Play, Kelle. You know me. You know this is not what I asked for. Please release me from this. I am just a stupid kid from Arizona. I won't ever post again here or elsewhere. Cap. No foretold. Please, Kelle Hampton. I don't want a part of this anymore.
Yeah. And then finally, the last comment in the post that I can find from before most of these accounts were suspended comes from Seek Truth's stepdaughter again in reply to that same AskReddit thread about the dead person being posthumously reckoned, surprised by their fame. Here's another. This is from the stepdaughter character. This is for Mathis to read.
Edgar Allan Poe and additionally I venture to tell anyone here to no cap forebode and further to no forewarn forebode. Funny too in that I was foreboding from Coochie's to discuss its amazing key lime pie outside the store, but here I am mentioning it anyway. Coochie would be glad to know his key lime pie, which everyone knows is the best of the best, is still being discussed posthumously. The fact is, we don't know the cap on this life, but every life before ours is a forewarning to live it to the fullest. And if that includes eating or trying to recreate Coochie's unmatched key lime pie, I know what a life full lived is.
So one thing that's weird about this that makes it seem a little more sinister than just some stranger being odd on the web in their own little private world is that as I scrolled through the comments by people looking into this, other Redditors, one thing that's mentioned several times is that many of the accounts that are posting weird fish recipes and stuff on these subreddits at one point used to just act exactly how you would expect a mommy blog snark account to act, like a real person just participating normally on these communities. So it almost feels like they get like assimilated or something and then become foretold cap, no cap accounts or something like that. I don't know. I have no idea. Also, some people supposedly found evidence of these people also posting totally normally from the same accounts. Like, you know how he was like, I'm just like a boy from Arizona or whatever.
Yeah.
Here's a quote that Jesse's going to read that's like is a comment from a Redditor who found something
What
similar.
does that have to do with that Caroline woman?
That's just where the subreddit was. That's how this all...
there's one of the posters in that LVSS subreddit. His account still exists and they're posting as of like 14 days ago.
Yeah. Isn't that weird?
But and they like posted a picture of like him and his wife in just like weird normalcy.
But like, very weird. But we started at the Caroline thing, and that has nothing to do with what's happening. Really, it's just the starting point.
You just have to understand like what kind of drama site this is and what type of influencer this community. Like, you got to understand why this drama is like this, because it's the only, like, if this was about us, this would be weird as fuck, right? But obviously it's about a certain type of person. But yeah, here's a comment for you to read.
4 years ago, some Redditors allegedly received disturbing images of brutally murdered bodies from the Kelle Hampton account. Unfortunately, I think the account deleted a post in r/blogsnark about the accusation. She basically referred to herself as a troll and denied she sent pictures of dead bodies. It was a complete tonal shift from the cryptic messages about LVS, recipes, and cap, no cap, etc. code. I remember seeing the post yesterday while I was sleuthing, but it's gone now.
Yeah. Anyway, just like with So Joanna, the sheer number of intertwining posts, some of which are like hundreds and hundreds of clearly handwritten words, just make it hard for me to classify this as people killing time for no reason. And obviously, though the Captain Coochie connection literally could just be these people listening to the Chilluminati podcast or the Coochie-Readaville Nexpo episode or whatever, and then just trying to hijack that idea to make their thing more interesting. Could literally just be that. The logic of intention really isn't there. Speaks to some kind of larger meaning. I don't know what it is. I don't know what your guys' take are on this, but it's just another fascinating installment in the furthering adventures of this fucking key lime pie that never existed.
Yeah,
and I'm just completely mind blown by it.
I'm still trying to figure out, again, I just think there's a lot of weird people on the internet.
Yeah.
That's where there's no rhyme to reason to any of this. If you go to that page, it's like weird shit for the sake of being weird.
Or is it?
I mean, all right.
Yeah, I don't know. Speaking of weird people on the internet, number 3, episode A, number 3, we're talking about Time Cube. You guys know about Time Cube?
No.
No, and also I just realized it's a numbered list in a lettered episode on a numbered episode.
Oh, Mathis, are
Holy
you
fuck.
confused?
No,
It's just
no,
easier
I'm
to understand.
I just,
It's just
No, you keep going. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
it's
just
Two stories so far, and I've been confused the entire
No,
time.
I've been
Simpler-
confused the entire, like, the stories are confusing, never mind that, but I just realized it's episode 280, part A, episode A, mysteries 1 through 6, so next week's gonna be episode B, mysteries 7 through 4, and it's just gonna be more chaos. It's like,
easy to understand and logical.
Right.
Okay, so Time Cube is an awesome name for absolutely anything, obviously. Of course, this fact is undeniable, but more so...
Isn't that just a tesseract, a time cube?
Yeah, well, that's exactly true. But more so than a mind-boggling, cutting-edge mathematic concept like a tesseract, for most amateur internet perusers of the late 90s to mid-2010s, Time Cube was mostly just a weird-ass fucking website run by a man called Otis Eugene Ray, who was known as Gene to his friends. Gene used this bizarre...
Gene Ray, dude? Get the
Seriously.
hell out of here.
Gene used this bizarre, rudimentary personal website to self-publish his, quote, theory of everything, which he also called, quote, Time Cube, which according to him was so next level, so world-changing of a theory, that the only reason it hadn't yet taken the world by storm was that the entire scientific community was working together against them in a conspiracy all across the globe, calling himself the, quote, wisest man on earth.
Okay, so he is crazy. This one is a crazy person.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, good.
Referring to himself as a, quote, godlike being with superior intelligence who has absolute evidence and proof that the time cube is in fact real. But what is the time cube, you ask? A theory of time that Verge magazine called, quote, an incredibly confusing one peppered with racism and homophobia? Could that be what it is? Luckily for us, though, we've now got Mathis here to sum it up in Gene's own words for us. Hate not included. There's no hate in this for brevity's sake, but see if you can follow along.
Oh, God. Okay. When the sun shines upon Earth, two major time points are created on opposite sides of Earth, known as midday and midnight. Where the two major time forces join, synergy creates two new minor time points we recognize as sunup and sundown. The four equidistant time points can be considered as time square imprinted upon the circle of Earth. In a single rotation of the Earth's sphere, each time corner point rotates through the other three time points, thus creating 16 corners, 96 hours, and 4 simultaneous 24-hour days within a single rotation of Earth, equated to a higher order of lifetime cube.
So that's where we're at with this. Here's the archive version of the website if you want to take a look. Many people have gone to this website over the years. It's a very sort of... This one feels like a roadside attraction that you'd stop at on the way to Vegas, if you know what I'm talking about.
This is the shit that looks like where I do my alien research on.
Yes.
This is just text on a grid background.
There's not even a homepage on this website. This is just
it's
ever-extending page. Yeah.
And the text is just rotating colors of black, green, red, blue. And it's just like someone's manifesto, but online.
So
MIT, there's a link in here.
Yes, Gene was asked to speak at MIT about the time cube, though it felt a little bit more like a stunt than a genuine speaking gig, because mostly he just kept doing his signature move, which was offering any scientist who could prove him wrong $10,000. But nobody challenged him, so he's probably right?
I guess, but there's also like, what is this? The capture for the time cube debate lecture at MIT has a line at the top says, "I made a new search engine combining the best features of the internet. Search with porn. Now you can get porn while you search."
That's Google, dude. But Time Cube has over the years brought Gene a degree of infamy in the world, made him into something of a public figure. But rather than be changed by it, he treated it more as a sacred duty. Here's a quote from Gene for Jesse to read about his fame.
Well, it's not a position I wanted. It's something I had to do. I'm not a writer or speaker, but no writer or speaker understands the time cube. Amazing.
That's right. No one's exactly sure how serious Gene was, like whether he was trolling or what the fuck his deal was with the whole thing, obviously. But when it takes you to MIT and it takes you to Georgia Tech to do lectures and it gets you a documentary made about yourself that's at the Indie Memphis Film Festival and you're just like a crazy old man with a website, who really cares? You know, here's Mathis with a little bit, one last word of wisdom from Gene to close us out.
Gene Ray. He would speak to in his mind. He just can't.
That's right.
Life is pulsing opposite mirror pairs. Death is oneness of godism. One does not exist except in death state. One is a demonic religious lie. Until you can tear and burn the Bible to escape the evil one, It will be impossible for your educated, stupid brain to know that 4 different corner harmonic 24-hour days rotate simultaneously within a single 4-quadrant rotation of the squared equator and cubed Earth. That's all just one long sentence. Holy fuck.
It really does prove the idea that, like, the stupidest people think they're the smartest.
I feel
because
like
everything he said is nonsense, but it written in a way that makes you think you don't understand it because you're not smart enough to get it.
I feel like
everything he said was nonsense.
I feel like I'm one bad day away from being this guy.
Yeah. You're like 5 more UFO sightings away from being this guy.
We're getting real close. The solar system, the universe, the Earth, and all humans are composed of positive, zero, and negative. I mean, positive, I mean maybe neutral, and then negative antipodes. And
Antipodes.
Entropies,
Antipodes.
Antipodes, whatever, fucking
Yeah.
equal to nothing if added as a one or entity. All creation occurs between opposites. Academic oneism destroys the positive negative brain.
And that's the time cube. I hope that you guys understand the mysteries of the time cube now.
No,
I don't think anyone does, dude.
Yeah. Moving on to number 4. This one is called AYLANA. This one is actually an adaptation of a little story that I did for the live show a year or two ago when Mathis couldn't make it out. We did it in LA. I tried to put it on last year. Mathis then butchered that slideshow and turned it into a disgusting smash or pass. Just travesty of a
enjoyed it.
softcore pornography at the Lincoln Hall in Chicago last month.
So there's somebody, and I love this. Shout out to who this person was, because I can't remember their name. But somebody did and created their own cryptid smasher pass for their spouse and like shared the images on our Discord and everything.
Love that.
So
Genuinely delicious.
They played it into the new year, and I very much appreciate that.
We're all just thinking about fucking them. That's the truth. That's the Chilluminati guarantee.
That's it. I don't want a human. Give me a cryptid.
I originally found this absolutely credible post on r/hobby drama from the user Spruicious, but it's such a neat little niche story. We had to share it here today. First of all, I want you guys to look at these little GIFs here that I've got for you guys. GIFs, whatever you want to call them. I mean, you know, you don't have to like examine them too much, but I'm just going to show them to you now. You can kind of report back what I...
All right, GeoCities lips. Yep.
Yeah, got some glittery lips.
Wishing you a perfect spring day, Andrea. And it's a cat, and it looks like, again, a shitty GeoCities.
And this is Pammy 2013 in the corner of it.
Of course, we've all encountered this type of GIF before. But what makes these 3 special is that there's one of Eeyore too, purple.
Oh, yeah, there he is.
They all use images. Eeyore. They all use images from an online artist called AYLANA, which our Reddit user Spruicious has been aware of in some form or another since 2007, when they first heard the name AYLANA in a rather unexpected place. Here's Jesse with the quote.
In 2007, the virtual pet site Neopets was still the height of its popularity. At that time, there was a thriving community of Neopets fan sites, which were mostly developed by teenage girls who had learned HTML and CSS from the tutorials on Neopets. The scope of this community was immense, and most nostalgic recollections, while accurate in describing how it launched the careers of many female web developers today, completely failed to capture its scale. At some point, there were literally hundreds of fan sites with names that were various permutations of Neo and common words, names like Snowy Neo, Fading Neo, and Neo Ice.
I'm sure that some of our listeners remember this era pretty well. And apparently it kind of spawned this sort of great grassroots community of extremely specific, young, Neopets adjacent, like artisans who now all have these like really specific artisanal jobs in the world of making Neopet fan content, where they were all specialists that required specific training. None of them had money or credit cards, though, because they're all teens, so everything's free, hosted on free sites. It was just this amazing underground network of tutorials and resources to learn how to do basic coding and stuff. It's a very powerful sort of like thing that these people created for themselves. Lots of people with lots of different backgrounds who maybe wouldn't have access to this stuff. Kind of interesting. Just kind of an interesting thing, Neopets at this time. But in this habitat, when somebody actually did own a badass domain, it was really hot shit, especially if it was high quality, which was absolutely the case with one specific site called Darkest Faerie Lair, with Faerie spelled the Fae way, with an E at the end, I-E at the end, and an A-E at the front. Here is a link for it. For you guys to check out. You guys can see this website, and also I'm going to give Mathis a little quote about it from the post, but I'll send you the link first.
Boink.
This is just to give you an idea of the type of stuff that was going down at that time.
As an 8-year-old, I found this fan site notable for 3 reasons. First, it did not contain Neo in its name. Second, it was hosted under the creator's own domain, albeit under a subdirectory. And lastly, it offered coding tutorials. Back then, Neopets was owned by the media conglomerate Viacom, and though I am not too clear on the details of this, at some point the owner, Jenny, was forced to remove all Neopets artwork from the site, apparently due to stringent copyright policies.
Yeah, so I guess big companies coming after little guys all we can expect these days. And unfortunately for Jenny and lots of other site owners back then, it not only killed their traffic, but also because it they kind of their lifestyle was based around the website, it just forced them not to care about Neopets anymore, which sucks for them. Yeah. But luckily for us, Jenny was a fucking badass. And after her Neopets phase, she moved into coding tutorials on another indie site called Spider's Web. So here's a link to the Spider's Web website you can check out. So I want to show you the Sparkle Names tutorials, which is the main thing you guys got to see. I'll give you the link to that specifically. It's a bunch of sites where you can get glitter gifs to glitter up your gifs, right? To put glitter on your gifs to make them sparkly gifs. And the one site that you really need to check out is the one called Bring On the Glitter. That one is that's the most important site.
Bring on the glitter.
Yeah. So that's the last link I sent you.
Orange, gold, clear glitter, blue, green, red, Christmas, multi, aqua, seafoam, black, purple, neutral, beige, pink.
And here's Jesse. Here's Jesse with a quote about it.
The website is charming and innocuous. It harkens back to a time when visiting a website felt more like staying at a guest at somebody's home than viewing a public exhibition. There is a banner reading Designs by AYLANA, but the contents of the site provide no indication as to who AYLANA is, which was all fine because back then, in the early 2000s, anonymity on the internet was considered to be sacred. It would have been downright impudent for a reader to demand to know the identity of the person behind the site.
Yeah. The website, the quote goes on, the website offered dozens of pages of animated glitter graphics, and that was its only purpose. Upon visiting virtually any of the pages, you'll see multiple recolors of that glitter animation with the 2 bright 8-pointed stars, the stamp which identifies a graphic as using graphics made by AYLANA. I use the animations to create a sparkly name for myself, then for my sister, and then in some Neopets graphics, all while wondering who was behind the website. But eventually, by deleting the page name from the URL, it led them to this site right here, which I'm going to send you a link to. And if you click around on it enough, it leads you to a notice explaining that AYLANA had recently been in the hospital, which is sad on its own, but the way it's put on the page is kind of a weird tone and looks pretty creepy, and I'll have Mathis read that for you right now.
All caps. Shh. Quiet, please. Patient is resting. I am out of hospital at last. I am now at home, confined to my bed, and in recovery. I will not be taking new requests or for the glitter names or designs at this time. Now, no more caps. I am so sorry. I hate to disappoint anyone, but this recent illness and hospitalization has taken it all out of me. Once I am feeling better, I will make it up to all of you whom I have let down. Thank you for understanding. Thank you also for the cards and notes during my hospitalization. It is much appreciated. Aya.
So now, fully tantalized, our user Spruicious kept removing more words from the URL until they got to this fairly personal looking directory with absolutely no security of any kind. I link you to it there from archive.org. And they were scared to go to this site, and this scared them.
Yeah, it's like looking back end files kind of thing.
Yeah, just to look at it, they were like, oh my God. And so they just never went to it for a while. And then eventually they decided they wanted to go back and look at it years later. And when they did, another message had been added to the hospitalization page site, which Mathis will read for you now.
In honor of AYLANA, wherever she may be, this is her site. Welcome, one and all. Warm regards, Be My Mind.
So it almost feels like, based on this message, that she's dead now, or maybe that she's missing Arrested Development style, where the doctor says she's gone and everybody thinks she's dead, but they mean that she escaped the hospital. But I don't know. Now our intrepid Redditor set out to find the truth, and the only thing they had was her name, AYLANA, and her connection to an old service called Web TV, which my grandma had and was delightful. Here's Jesse with more.
AYLANA's website was hosted on a service called WTV Zone, which offered web space primarily to users of Web TV, much like my grandmother.
Yeah.
On Bring On the Glitter, she makes several references to the community surrounding Web TV. What I found was something quite unexpected. It was an online book spanning almost 200 pages compiled for AYLANA by a man in his 80s who had carried on an internet correspondence with her from the years 1997 to 2003. Out of respect for the author, I will not provide a direct link to the book, as it is obviously not meant to be read by anybody other than the person whom the man believed AYLANA to be.
Right. And I also will respect the privacy myself for the sake of this writer. But I will also add that if you're really the type of freak who wants to read that shit anyway, it's very easily Googleable. But just in case you've got a soul like me and you don't want to do that, here is Mathis with more info from the Post. Bazinga.
The book contains dozens of emails sent between AYLANA and the elderly man, from which I was able to gather information about the person whom AYLANA said she was. AYLANA Sian, you want me to say the whole name or no?
Yeah.
Okay. AYLANA Sian van der Hagen was born in 1980 as a scion of a prominent Norwegian noble family, which owned multiple art galleries across the European continent. She was expected by her father to eventually cease her communications with her internet friends and to succeed him as the director of the galleries. Even from the beginning, she made it clear that her activities on the internet were not and could not be permanent. At the time, her boyfriend was an American, whom I will refer to as B, who was about a decade older than her, and her parents did not fully approve of the age difference. In her emails, she comes across as willful, determined, with a calm dignity uncommon for somebody so young. At one point, she gains a high position in her family's company, and she begins to write detailed accounts of her days at work. Later on, after a hospitalization and subsequent recovery, she embarks on a series of international business trips that prevent her from establishing regular contact with her online contacts. By this point, the only updates that they receive on her are from B. I strongly suspect that B was AYLANA all along.
Okay, so now let's talk about B for a second. B is for sure a real person who's still online as of last year when I was writing this segment for the live show. Kind of a weird pandemic, anti-vax, bad government takes QAnon vibe from this guy. Gotcha. But other than that, when studying the writing style of both, there's lots of stylistic similarities, like long ellipses at the end of sentences. And of course, there's no indication anywhere of any sort of Norwegian nobility called AYLANA von Hagen or whatever the hell she was saying her name was. And in an old Usenet thread from 1998, good old Usenet, there's possible reports of catfishing involving an older man pretending to be a teenage girl named AYLANA. And though Mathis is going to read it for us, the language that he uses in this reading is not his own, and it should not be held against him. Good. This is a Usenet post from 27 years ago.
Okay, here we go. Oh me, oh my. I have just seen the breaking news in Katzenjammer. My client, Mr. James T. Kirk, was right all along, wasn't he? You see, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, a one AYLANA from Web TV who posts in Katzenjammer has been giving the, quote, flamers in their fits. She claims to be a 17-year-old girl from blue-blooded parents who has a boyfriend named Justin. Well, this is false. Miss AYLANA is a cross-dressing 28-year-old freak who is pretending to be a girl. This freak, that's all caps, even accused people of sending them love letters and porn, then saying they were a, quote, minor, and it was against the law to send minors porn. They even had a person claiming to be their father post in cats threatening various flamers with legal action. Hey, David, how's it feel to be having a chicken hawk like that raising their skirt in every other post in cats and spouting such shit as, quote, kiss my well-rounded behind? You are now the laughingstock of the Web TV groups. So
the Web TV Council doesn't sound like the coolest group. This person, in the world. Yeah, but the AYLANA person, whoever they may be, was not held in high regard in this Usenet community, it seems. And though it really does seem like they were catfishing, and B's age lines up properly and everything, he's like in his 50s today, which makes perfect sense. There's not really any explanation for why that dude would pretend to be this person simply to post glitter GIF tutorials on a Neopet site. And here's Jesse with the quote to close us out about that.
I have no answers to those questions, but I have a theory as to why AYLANA eventually vanished. The old man was in failing health, and by the time of AYLANA's disappearance, they had been friends for almost 6 years. I believe AYLANA's hospitalization was an opportunity to kill her off because B had started to feel a sense of guilt at fooling her friends. Perhaps an outpouring of support prevented him from killing the character, or the fear that they would attempt to unearth an obituary and he decided that a disappearance caused by the buildup of responsibilities in the real world would be a gentler transition.
The old man wrote letters to her until his death in 2005, believing she was real. Web TV dried up and died a slow death as PCs became more like they are now. And these days, the only place you can find any of these sites is on the Internet Archive, but it never really makes the story any less interesting, right? Like, thanks to Spruicious, she really crushed this. I wouldn't have been able to do this mystery without that Reddit user. There's like tones of like closeted trans storyline that may be here. There's like a catfishing storyline that may be here. There's like a fake royalty storyline that's here. And it's all hidden in the archives of a website from somebody who made glitter on Neopets.
What's interesting about this story and what's different about it from the other ones is like it's so... You can piece together things here.
Yeah.
You can say, all right, I see what the objective of all of this would be based on what we have read about and discovered. And it makes me more upset about the other ones because I'm like, I don't know what people are thinking. Like I genuine, like this has a little,
there's a
like,
human
read,
element to this one. Yeah.
Yeah. There's like
some
a human
empathy.
element, even though it's a little crazy still, it still has like, again, if you're too young to remember the early days of the internet, the late 90s, early 2000s, that one quote was absolutely right. The anonymity, the not knowing who the person is, that's when people would go to chats and type in ASL, and I promise you,
Lies.
90% of the people saying they were a 14-year-old girl was an old man.
Oh,
lies.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It was a weird place, for sure.
I never did it to like be a girl to like, you know, get somebody to hit on me or something, but I definitely was like in the RP server of the Red Wall thing being like, I'm 15 when I was like 11, you know, fucking stupid,
for sure.
fucking idiot. That was AYLANA. That was number 4. Number 5 is, these last two are pretty short. This one's called Moody, Alabama. This one's a short one, but a wild one, out of St. Clair County, Alabama, where Moody, Alabama Police Sergeant Stephen Williams, 23-year veteran of law enforcement, 4 years on the force there in Moody, Alabama, was shot dead in a shootout at the Super 8 Motel, Moody Parkway, in that area. Here's actually a fairly scary clip of it happening in real time from somebody who lived at the motel at the time from r/PublicFreakout. It's confirmed that this was the same incident. Pretty crazy. Pretty intense piece of footage. You can just kind of react. It's pretty short.
Yeah, there's cops on a balcony. They're pointing at something down below. Someone is filming them via their window of the hotel room.
Yeah, gunshots.
Police shootout is happening outside of their hotel room. It's pretty crazy. 2 suspects end up in custody. I believe one is male and one's female, but I'm not sure. But it was a remarkable scene to the people scuttlebutting about it on Reddit that night, because after the officer-involved shooting, like 80 to 100 officers from departments all over the place showed up, and the area became like a late-night beehive of activity, cop cars fucking everywhere. In fact, according to one user, Great Zero Taste, they thought, quote, that's a crap load of cop cars for just a motel thing. So it was already a little fishy. Just like on first glance from the average person. But I do know that when an officer goes down, the response gets like exponentially bigger just because the police like to like, you know, show up and like kind of be like supportive when something like that goes down, you know? So maybe a cop from Alabama who listens to the show can tell me a little bit more about that. I don't really know if that's appropriate for that. But I'd love to know. I'd love to like know exactly, because I'm obviously just going off the Reddit comments and just kind of getting a sense of what happened then, but I would love to know how truly weird it is, how many cops showed up, because it is a fuckload. And you'll get a chance to see them too. However, what's really got people excited is this footage that was captured on ABC 3340 off-air news cameras, like B-roll and stuff, that they were filming at the time with no audio. No, there was not supposed to be audio, but there is audio on the footage. Out on the street nearby the incident, when 17 and a half minutes into the footage, a woman appears on camera and begins to talk unsolicited about what she thinks is going on over there. The clip has been taken down many times for many reasons. Mostly, I think, because it's B-roll from a news network. Unless you take stock of what she's saying and you think it's a cover-up. But like, I think it's just because you can't just like post news footage that's not been released like that. I don't even know how this footage got out but I think it's definitely because of the content. So here's the clip, just a few minutes or so of it where the woman is on the camera and audible. I recommend giving it a look, if you can, just to get a sense of the scene for people. But since there's a lot of other noise around her voice, I'm also going to have Jesse and Mathis read the transcript, for us. so that people can hear it clearly. Jesse's going to be the woman. Mathis is going to be the news reporter. And I'm going to just kind of chill out and we're going to use it. If my scroll doesn't just go down and grab literally the rest of my thing. Here we go. All right. Here's the scene. We're going to go to there, and then I'll give you the last little bit.
Microphone audio suddenly cuts in. Digital mind control. For I would say probably 6 years or since 2015, there's a guy that lives near here from Europe and hired me to work for a company called Core, and he's pretty much the ringleader of the whole underground world and digital mind implants. He was staying at this hotel. Well, I've been under surveillance because the FBI is aware of it. Everyone's aware of it, CIA and others, and so they tipped them off, and so they've been over here staying 2 weeks, breaking in my house. They stole my dog, and they were tipped off. They've been on the open Wi-Fi, so it was discovered. So that is probably, I'm not saying that's what it is, but seeing there's cops 2 miles long, that's probably what it is. They all came back here, and they got him. But I don't know if I want to say that on air because it's really strange, but that's what's been going on. You know what I mean? So how do you do that or word that? I mean, I'm the happiest I've ever been, but it was as a result of that.
So pause real quick. Not sure exactly what she means by that last part, but the two versions I've seen that make the most sense are that A, she's happy because she's relieved that these people are finally gone who were terrorizing her, or B, she's happy because of digital mind implants that she has. Either one is wild, but also C is that she's just crazy or schizophrenic or on drugs or whatever, which is kind of like always C. It's always C and stuff like this. But without skipping anything, I did not edit this. Let's unpause.
Why did they take your dog?
They were breaking my house 4-4, while last summer they did it 6 times. I've had 6 police reports. They broke it in 4 times in the last week, and then they took my dogs 2 days ago.
Were you here when this happened?
No, I just pulled up. Gunshot. Actually, I was like, God.
Oh, wait. Down, miss, get down. Oh, sorry. I thought he was like putting in a cheat
There's
code.
gunshots. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. It's only like, down, miss, get down.
Pop, thump.
I don't want to know.
Sounds like tear gas, maybe. You see gas?
But they need to get the computers because the software is on them, and they'll be able to discover it, and the whole world needs to know.
Yeah, so that's kind of all the fully verifiable hard evidence stuff that anyone has about this. And since it's not even 100% that she's saying neurocore, if you listen back to it, Reddit definitely kept investigating this, but everything past this point is pure speculation. Again, this was happening in June of 2020 at the very height of like big COVID vibes. So it's kind of wild also just to look at these threads and check out everybody's headspace. So unless YouTube pulls the upload again for including a dubious possible spam link from, let me check my notes here for a second, MSNBC, links to all these threads will, of course, be in the show notes for you to peruse yourselves, which, in case you don't know what that means, I'm just going to take a minute to say this, because like I said, customer satisfaction is part of the life path number 3. It means literally on our RSS feed, anywhere that you're listening to this, including YouTube, which also uses our RSS feed, the podcast description itself is where the links are meant to be found. You can just, any app that you're in, just go to the description of the podcast and the links will be there. And that's where they should already be for every episode, starting with the H8 game show episode I did back in September. That's when we started like trying to figure out a way to make it work.
Yeah.
Anyway, the first detail everybody latched onto was the name of the company the woman said she worked for, which in this case, according to mine own ears, sounds the most like Neurocore if you listen to it, or possibly another thing that people were hearing, which is Neuroport. You can listen to it. You have the link there. I think she says Core. Which was a company that many Redditors discovered, then Secretary of Education, or just about to be the Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos, and her husband, DeVos. Her and her husband were heavily invested in this company to the tune of millions of dollars, which is a company that offers treatment to, quote, retrain your brain, and uses the slogan, quote, is it time for a mind makeover? All it takes is science. Basically, from what I understand after reading this one New York Times article, most of which Most of what they were doing had to do with mapping patients' brainwaves for some sort of diagnosis and then attaching scalp and earlobe sensors to them, having them watch movies and TV shows, and then they stop the show every time they disengage with it or show signs of anxiety or distress. And it's supposed to like trick you into paying attention to things better. I don't know how it works, but here's a quote about them from a 2017 article in the New York Times, like I said, when they were facing major scrutiny for unsubstantiated claims and unskilled staff performing overly expensive treatments. And that's for Mathis to read right here.
Okay. NeuroCore is the creation of Timothy G. Royer, a licensed psychologist with a master's degree in theology, who served as a division chief of pediatric psychology at the Helen DeVos Children's Hospital in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Originally called Hope 139 after Psalm 139 from the Bible, the company marketed itself to schools, especially religious ones, in Michigan to help children improve academic scores and lessen the need for medication to treat certain ailments. And then elsewhere it says, in interviews, nearly a dozen child psychiatrists and psychologists with expertise in autism and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, aka ADHD, expressed caution regarding some of NeuroCore's assertions, advertising, and methods. Because autism and ADHD isn't a fucking ailment. It's not a disease. It's not. It's a death.
It's a way. It's one way that people are.
Exactly. It's just how your brain was physically formed.
Yeah,
that's it.
In the same way that I am a 6 foot tall man who has hair growing out of every part of his body, and Mathis at 21 looks like Mathis at 13. There's just different ways that people are. That's all it is.
Yeah, that's it.
Also, remember that Betsy DeVos. Her brother is Eric Prince, who is the founder of Blackwater, by the way, Blackwater USA. Yep. Anyway, this is enough to get people freaking out because of, Betsy DeVos, Blackwater, mind control, NeuroCore. And then they're talking about Neuralink, the Elon Musk thing where they're putting the brain things in monkeys or whatever. And then slowly a narrative formed that these people who shot this cop at this motel were actually escaped test subjects from the real programs that NeuroCore was running behind the scenes of whatever digital mind control related shenanigans they're doing. But there is also something called the Neuroport system, which is from a company called BlackRock Microsystems, which is also now, it was called BlackRock Microsystems at the time. Now it is called BlackRock Neurotech, which records and monitors electrical activity in the brain. BlackRock's whole deal is implantable brain technology for people with paralysis and other neurological disorders. So I'm like, use the computer and stuff like that. Here's a little more from an extensive post about this by a user called TFG for Jesse to read. Though full disclosure, this guy also has stated he now believes that the standoff that night was nothing more than a drug bust, but that he felt that this info was good enough anyway to keep the post up. So this is Jesse here.
Then it refers to the compatible products. It gets even more crazy. The first compatible product listed is the Utah array, basically the blueprint microelectrode array for Elon Musk and others' Neuralink. The other compatible products are the BOSS analysis software used to analyze brain activity and a number of head stages used both in animals and humans. Before I get to even more insane part, let me stop right here. In the video, the woman talks about European guys running the operation. The two founders are German guys who are extremely well versed in neurological implants, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. The woman says that her house has been robbed and they took her dog. These might be the actions of those whom the product has been tested on. But let's go even deeper. BlackRock. If you're well versed in conspiracy theories, you will know that Bill Cooper and his Mystery Babylon series. Okay, it all has to do with the mystery religion of Babylon, the one the powers that be practice. My focus here on this interpretation of the film 2001: Space Odyssey, and specifically the obelisk monolith, a seemingly black rock, which is the key theme in the Kubrick film and the basis for Bill Cooper's Mystery Babylon series. A black rock or black cube is the symbol of the mystery schools. There's also a big connection to the Saturn time cube, of which I am nowhere near learned enough to explain, so once again, I will leave another link to a Megathread made by the great user Nick Hinton 333, who has provided much information on the topic. I suggest you check it out.
And I'll just add on to that you should check it out only at your own risk because it's deep into the full-on like Dale Gribble school of government conspiracies. So if you
Bill
swear
Cooper
you
is
won't,
like, I have a Bill Cooper book. It's I was looking for it. That is like OG conspiracy.
If you swear that you won't get radicalized, it's fine to read some Bill Cooper.
You have to be wary where that man
You
is.
swear you're not going to get radicalized.
Right,
I'll
you
let you read it.
can't start hating the Jews after reading these books because that man absolutely had problematic
if you can get stoned and read that book and not get radicalized, then you're allowed to read it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Anyway, that's what happened in Moody, Alabama. And I know it sounds silly, but what's the odds this lady walks up to this camera at the site and is like, here's exactly what's going on. And she names a company that's like doing brain research and is like completely linked to all this shit and is like, I don't know.
It's weird.
Something about this is a little weird to me. And I don't know if you guys looked at the clip at all.
I have not yet. No.
Of her talking.
I mean, it just looks like an absolute drug addict / crazy
She
person.
sounds a little bit like a drug addict. I will admit. She has that like gas station encounter tone to her voice.
I am going to ask you for money after I spend 25 minutes telling you about the crazy conspiracy.
But she does also like seem to be aware of where she's at. She's also like, do you know that that's what this is? She's like, no, I don't. I just got here. I'm not sure what's happening. I just think that because that's what's happening to me and it's like happening right here. She's like, I don't know if I'm going to say this on the air when normally like a person who is delusional is like very serious about their delusions and just says them as if it's real. So I don't know. There's some things about this that I feel like are clearly it's just a crazy person, but there's some coincidences and things about this that I'm not really talking about the BlackRock thing. That's more just like to show you how far out there this gets when you start to look at stuff like this. But man, like it's really crazy that there's a brain like implant thing called Neuroport that's part of Neuralink and all the other things, and that this lady pulls it out whole cloth out of her ass like right here. And
this entire episode genuinely, actually the next several episodes apparently, is a reminder I think to everyone that everyone's allowed to use the internet.
Yeah, that's big time.
Everyone.
Yep.
That's big time.
So just remember that.
Wouldn't it be great if the last one that I did today was like not really an internet mystery and more of like a like concrete mystery with a paper trail?
God.
We'll wait and see, I guess.
The last thing we're going to be covering today is number 6, the Epstein lottery. All right. So to close out episode A of Cornerfest 25, I ask you a very simple question. What would it take to convince you that Jeffrey Epstein, as in, yes, that Jeffrey Epstein, as in the pedophile rapist billionaire one with the island and the really edgy contact list who died under mysterious circumstances, that Epstein, what would it take to convince you that he actually was the lucky winner of the Oklahoma Powerball lottery on July 2nd, 2008?
A thing from the Oklahoma government saying that he won?
Would it be enough just to show you an article about this weird, mysterious group called the Zorro Trust winning that Powerball? Because here is Mathis with a quote that says exactly that.
The latest Powerball jackpot winner didn't make Jay Fink's job any easier. A financial planning company based in Oklahoma City received $29.3 million Monday on behalf of the Zorro Trust, which held the winning ticket from the July 2nd drawing. The trust shields the winner or winners from that kind of publicity that Fink specializes in. Certainly we like putting a face to winners, said Finks, the Oklahoma Lottery's marketing director. We were hopeful that they would come in, but as time passed, we knew that they were going to form a trust, Finks said. A representative from Heritage Trust Company presented the winning ticket at lottery headquarters Friday. The winning ticket was sold at an Atlas convenience store. That store received $25,000 from the lottery commission for selling the ticket. The jackpot was worth $85 million if the winner chose to collect it through 29 annual installments.
Remember that number, $85 million, okay?
Yep.
Cool. So
got it in my brain.
Are you convinced yet that Jeffrey Epstein won the lottery?
No.
Okay, what about another article about how there was a glitch in the computer just before the live drawing of the Sunday Pick 3 that day, which caused the winner to be drawn later off camera? Here's Jesse with a quote that says exactly that.
Glitch was discovered shortly before the drawing was to be shown live, said Jay Finks, the lottery's marketing director. Instead of seeing the drawing at 9:58 p.m., viewers on KOKH Fox and KOCBCW saw a notice indicating the drawing wouldn't be shown because of technical difficulties. Finks said the glitch wasn't fixed in time for 10 p.m. newscasts. The drawing was held later and was monitored by an auditing firm, Finks said.
Shadiest shit you've ever heard in your life. Do you believe that Jeffrey Epstein has won the Oklahoma Powerball yet?
No.
Okay.
No, not yet.
Okay, so if that hasn't convinced you, you're probably wondering how this even connects to Epstein in the first place. So would it convince you if I told you that he coincidentally started to serve an 18-month jail sentence for soliciting prostitution from underage girls in South Florida one day before the numbers were drawn on July 1st, 2008? Because here is Mathis with an absolutely insanely written 2 sentences of information about him from the Associated Press.
Authorities allege he paid $200 to $300 apiece to several girls younger than 18 in return for naked massages that sometimes became sexual at his Palm Beach home. He also faces state and federal suits filed by several women over similar allegations.
If that was not tag teamed by a journalist and a lawyer, I don't know what is. But that is still not enough to convince you that Jeffrey Epstein won the Oklahoma Powerball. So what if I showed you that the Zorro Trust, which definitely did accept the money for the Powerball, was actually a group formed by Jeffrey Epstein to buy up land and water rights Chinatown style in New Mexico in order to build his very own Zorro Ranch? And what if I showed you the records in his black book under New Mexico that linked Epstein not only with the Zorro Ranch name, but also Bryce Gordon and his wife Karen, who is a manager of the Zorro Trust? Would that be enough to convince you?
No. Okay. As long as it's the same exact company.
What about after I have you read this wild 2-person scene between an investigator and Epstein's longtime pilot, Larry Visosky, from 2009? Mathis, you're going to be Visosky. Jesse, you're Edwards, the investigator. Like, this is a legit comedy routine.
Oh my God.
This, everything about this, I think by the end of this, you're going to believe that Jeffrey Epstein won the lottery. Are you ready?
Yep.
34-foot JVC powerboat, 2000, owner LSJ LLC, registered to Larry Visosky. Do you know that?
Yes.
You knew that the boat was registered in your name?
It's registered to LSJ. It's Jeffrey's boat that we keep here in West Palm Beach.
And do you keep it at your home?
No.
Do you know the registration is to your home?
It's used in my home address, yes.
Why was that done?
We were eventually going to ship it out to St. Thomas for it to live, but since Jeffrey's here, we're keeping it in Florida, and when we ship the boat over, we will change the title to Little St. James address.
What do you mean, since Jeffrey's here, we're keeping it in Florida? What does Jeffrey being here have to do with keeping a boat that's registered in your name and to your address?
Well, I have access to use the boat, here in Florida, but it's Jeffrey's boat.
Okay, but by Jeffrey's boat, it was purchased with Jeffrey's money?
That is correct.
Do you know how much it cost?
I think it was $60,000.
Do you know how much the Ford F-250 cost?
25, I'm guessing, ballpark.
Do you know how much the Jaguar X-Type cost?
11,000.
Do you know how much the Mercedes-Benz CLK cost?
35,000.
Do you know how much the Land Rover cost?
68,000.
Do you know how much the Mercedes-Benz SUV costs? That's yours, right? The Chevy Suburban is yours as well?
Yeah, I remember how much those cost too.
Is there another boat, 35-foot Donzi powerboat in 1999?
That's the one I thought you were talking about originally.
That's the same boat.
That's the same boat.
Is there any other boat that is registered in your name?
No.
Did you know that let me ask you this. Do you have a 2003 Ferrari F75M?
No.
Any reason why the car is registered in your name and the asking price is $159,000 being sold in New York?
That car is not registered in my name.
If it's registered...
The ad is in my name.
Why is the ad in your name?
Because I was trying to sell it.
Why were you trying to sell it?
It was Jeffrey's car and we didn't want it anymore.
Why would he put his pilot in charge of selling his Ferrari?
Because I bought it.
How much did you buy it for?
$179,000. Now, when I say I bought it, it was his money. I was the one that negotiated it, to be clear. It was his car for use in New York.
Are you aware of the Zorro Trust winning an $85 million Powerball lottery in 2008?
No.
Say that again. The Zorro Trust winning an $85 million, then he pauses, I assume, claiming the ticket for $85 million Powerball ticket in 2008.
No.
So after all that line of questioning where he's clearly got this guy hammered on them being so fraudulent about everywhere that they're keeping these vehicles, how much they paid them for, why they're selling them. At the end of that, he's like, hey, you know that Powerball drawing in 2008 for $85 million? Did you win that too? And he's like, no. Why would they ask him that?
I don't know.
If Jeffrey
I don't know.
Epstein didn't win the 2008 Oklahoma Powerball one day after he went to jail. Did I convince you?
No.
No?
You got
Do you
me-
think it's?
I-
Do you think
I-
it's
I
probably
see
worth?
in the
You think it's
realm
probably
of
worth looking
possibility.
into?
I think it's in the realm of possibility. I'll say it's not impossible.
The company that accepted the money, because in Oklahoma, you can anonymously accept lottery money provided that you go there and say who you are. That's all you have to do to prove that you're the person. You can do it in total private. So this lottery, just so we're all clear on what happened here, this lottery was won off air on television. So nobody knows what the numbers were besides the winner, right? Like, basically, like they pulled the numbers. Nobody knows like how those numbers were determined. And the company that Jeffrey Epstein started to open a ranch is the company that collected the money. And in a deposition where they're asking him about a bunch of other fraudulent things that were bought in other people's names, the investigator dead ass just asked him about the very exact same Oklahoma Powerball.
Yeah.
So you'd at least assume that there's some sort of paper trail leading to this. So don't know what's going on here. Don't know what the reason would be for this already very rich person to do this, except that we often find that very rich people often don't have a lot of money that they can move around in the way that we expect them
It's
to
not
be
liquid.
able to.
Yeah.
So I don't know what exactly is the circumstances around this mystery, but there is this paper trail of weird events and things that leads directly to the conclusion that somehow Jeffrey Epstein seems to have won the 2008 July Oklahoma Powerball for $85 million. Anyway, patreon.com/ChilluminatiPod.
Wow.
See you next
Incredible.
week
What a
for
start.
episode B of Cornerfest 25. Be sure to download the official festival lineup poster for Cornerfest 25 for free at patreon.com/ChilluminatiPod. And if you want, come find us all on Blue Sky and follow us there too. Thank you for the support.
What an incredible start to 2025.
Bye.
Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.
Minisode on the site.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Chilluminati podcast. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Mike Martin, joined by the... I don't know who they are. There's two.
What?
Terrence Hill and Bud Spencer.
No.
Neo and Trinity.
No.
I don't understand, and I probably never will. Let me just tell you right now that there's two Leon Kennedy and Claire Redfield.
I'm telling you, I think he literally just looked up famous duos
Cheech and Chong.
and has just been going through the list ever since.
I'm trying to dig deep. Which one of you is Dick Powell?
Me? Your name's Jesse Cox. I want Chilluminati. I want my money. I want Chilluminati. I want my money.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Chilluminati podcast. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Mike Martin, joined by Alex and Jesse. Like a shooting star across the sky that's actually a UFO.